Yeah, soldiers, it's Buenos Concern video, and this is Legacy Chapters 53 to 55. I hope you guys enjoy another addition to this fanfic series as we try to finish this year. But anyways, I hope you guys are ready for a great fanfic, and shout out to you guys for watching the video regardless, and shout out to my socials, which are my Twitter, my Instagram, and my Discord, which is linked down in the description. And now without further ado, let's get right into the fanfic read, starting with Chapter 53, Just My Luck. Here we go. Chapter 53, Just My Luck. Why do these things always happen to us? Naruto wondered out loud. He released a long sigh as he looked at the dark sky. It was a full moon, and its light shone across the vast forest. The leaves rustled with the night's cold air, and Naruto sighed again. He looked towards Na, who seemed to be deep in thought, looking at Sai as if to solve a puzzle. Naruto shifted his eyes towards the last member of his team, one root shinobi by the name of Sai. Sai was the reason for Naruto's troubles, as he was currently on his knees on the ground. His pupils were dilated and his face neutral. He seemed to be staring into nothingness. "What am I going to do with you?" Naruto asked rhetorically, nursing his temples and shaking his head. Earlier that day, "Naruto-kun," Hinata said in a low voice, trying to hide her blushing face. "Everyone is staring," she said, lowering her head and avoiding gazing upon the crowd. She hid her face in her long hair as she suddenly looked around. Naruto just chuckled and held her tightly by her thighs. Hinata was currently sitting on Naruto's shoulders as they made their way towards the second stage of the exams. The sight of two very strong and popular shinobi walking around a different village was enough to bring attention to them, but their current position only increased it. "They are just jealous, Hinata-chan," Naruto replied, tilting his head up to look at Hinata's red face and chuckled. Hinata glared at him, well, as much as she can glare in the end. "It's not funny," Hinata pouted, seeing your fierce glare got her nowhere. "You know that I, unlike you, don't like being the center of attention, much less with foreign people," Hinata mumbled. "I don't like being the center of attention as well," Naruto replied. "Please," Hinata snorted playfully. "You and me both know that you enjoy the spotlight." "Maybe a little," Naruto said, and Hinata smiled but got to thinking. "Although," Hinata started in a suspicious tone, narrowing her eyes, "you have been unusually affectionate today. Not that I'm complaining, but what brought this on?" Hinata asked, curious. "Nothing in particular," Naruto replied, shrugging his shoulders. "Just a talk I had with Kurama earlier today." Flashback. Everything was quiet in the room. The sun was beginning to rise in the horizon, and the darkness of the room started dissipating with the sun shining through the windows. Naruto stirred as the room became brighter and gradually opened his eyes. He shifted in the bed until his eyes landed on Hinata's sleeping form. Naruto smiled at her peaceful face and slowly turned so that he could observe her more comfortably. He brought his hand to her cheek and brushed her hair away. "She's so pretty," Naruto thought to himself, gently running his fingers over her rosy cheek. Hinata seemed to feel his touch and leaned in for closer contact. Naruto smiled at her actions even though she was still asleep.
"Cherish every moment with her,"
Naruto heard and turned his attention to the end of the bed where Kurama was curled in a small ball with all of his tails. "I already do that," Naruto replied, and Kurama opened a single eye. "But what makes you say that?" Naruto asked, curious. Kurama had never given him much advice or even mingled much in his relationship with Hinata.
"Just a piece of advice.
Kurama said, yawning and displaying his teeth.
You have no idea what it's like facing eternity alone,"
Kurama said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow at the bitterness in his voice. "You have 8 siblings," Naruto said, confused by the topic.
"You know nothing, Naruto."
Kurama snorted. "I know everything about your story," Naruto began, and Kurama's eye twitched at his naivete. "I know that Hagoromo created you and your siblings from Jubi." Naruto would have kept talking if it wasn't for Kurama's roar. "Shh, keep it down," Naruto whispered as he looked towards Na, who remained sleeping.
"How long ago do you think this all happened?"
Kurama asked. "A couple centuries?" Naruto wondered, and Kurama chuckled at his answer.
It has been almost 19,000 years since I was born.
Kurama replied, and Naruto was surprised. There had been ninja for a while, apparently.
Since it was fun when we were all together growing up, the first few centuries, I was actually happy when we were all together. But then, you came.
Kurama retorted angrily, rising up from the bed with all of his tails.
You shinobi and your endless lust for power.
Kurama barked, and Naruto was surprised by the amount of hate coming from his voice.
You drove us apart, forced us to split so that we weren't caught and enslaved like we are now. You forced each one of us to take their own path and to survive in loneliness for fear of our own survival. You have no idea what it's like living for millenniums all alone, walking this earth without nothing to look for, always on watch for your people. You never knew how many times I thought about death, knowing very well I would never get it.
Kurama sighed and lied back down.
I don't know why that sneak seeks it so vehemently. Eternity is nothing but a curse. In the end, you will eventually tire just like I did. But I, for one, will never die or perish. I will linger and live on, even after your kind disappears from this earth.
Kurama said, and Naruto never thought about things like this. Well, you got me, Naruto said, grinning while Kurama just shook his head.
I'm old, Naruto. Very old.
Kurama began.
As I told you, I am around 19,000 years old. I watched times of peace and prosperity and times of war. I watched as kingdoms fell and no one's rose to take their place. I watched as man ventured himself across the ocean, deep into the mountains, and high into the sky. But above all, I watched as humans began nurturing their energies and began using them. It took time for my father's teaching to spread across the globe. I watched as humanity live peacefully with the help of chakra, but then they realized its full potential. The potential for war. Mankind was created with a hole in their hearts, a hole that no possession, power, or knowledge could fill, and in their infinite greed, man dreamed of expanding his dominion over the entire earth. That is how the first chakra wars began, that led into the clan wars, finally culminating into what we know today. You said I had you.
Kurama chuckled bitterly.
You will perish to time, while I will live on. I'll endure the fall of man and the rise of the next species. I will linger on in darkness and in doubt as nightfall in winter that comes without a star. I will dwell, bound to loneliness, under the fading trees until all the world is changed and its long years of life are utterly spent. Maybe then I can rest in peace.
Kurama finished, and Naruto was simply staring at him. You should focus on the present and, like you said, cherish every moment. Instead of sulking about the past and future, you should enjoy the present, no matter how short it may seem to you, Naruto replied, and Kurama snorted at his speech. And maybe I'll find a way to keep you company through the ages, Naruto grinned, while Kurama just chuckled.
I'll hold you to that.
Kurama said before walking out and leaving behind a thoughtful Naruto. And a flashback. What mess I get myself into now, Naruto thought to himself as he, Hinata, and Sai made their way toward the second stage of the Jonin exams. Naruto wondered what it would like to be able to live forever, watching as everyone else perished and he remained behind, untouched by time, immune to diseases, being forced to adapt as the world changed around him, choosing sides when Konoha was no longer standing. Naruto may be a lot of things, but he wasn't naive. He knew that the way of shinobi would come to an end eventually. Naruto could only wonder what would follow. Would the knowledge to form chakra simply fade away to give way to singular energies? Would mankind simply forget about chakra and live on as regular civilians leaving behind the shinobi way? Naruto had a lot to think about if he wanted to keep Kurama's promise. Although he knew one thing for certain. If he was going to fulfill his promise of keeping company to Kurama for the ages, then he would have to find a way to have Hinata by his side. Second stage location. Naruto's team arrived at the location of the second stage of the Jonin exams. He looked around and the place seemed a little deserted, too deserted for his own taste. Naruto and his team was the only one there. He looked up to the sun to check the time and rechecked the paper he was given. They were certainly in the right spot. They were in a deserted plain with nothing but a mountain in front of them and an abyss on the other side. Naruto's curiosity got the best of him and he went towards the abyss and looked down. They were a few hundred feet above the Raikage Tower. "Welcome," Naruto heard and turned around to see Senshin running towards them. "You're exactly on time. If you follow me to the edge of the mountain, I will explain the next stage," the Chunin said, and Naruto, Hinata, and Sai suddenly followed him to a small, wooden shack at the bottom of the mountain. Naruto curiously looked up but couldn't see the edge of it. The cloud bank blocked his view of the top. Now the next stage is rather simple. This is what we call the Crystal Peak Mountain. On top of this mountain are 20 flags. Each team can only take one. Your objective is to go up or around the mountain and make your way to the Forbidden Forest on the other side, as Shinji explained, and everyone listen carefully. In order to pass the stage, you will need to collect at least 2 flags and find a tower hidden in the forest. You have a time limit of 5 days. Questions? The Chunin asked. "You said we need 2 flags," Hinata said, and Chunin nodded. "We can take only one from the top, which means the other will have to be removed from the other teams, correct?" Hinata asked. "Yes," the Chunin began. "You can either climb to the top and immediately secure a flag for yourselves and take the other, or you can simply find your way around the mountain and take 2 flags from another teams. The choice is yours," the Chunin explained, and Hinata nodded. "Engagement rules?" Sai asked. "Every team for themselves. The only requisite is that the whole team is alive when you reach the tower, with 2 flags, of course," the Chunin said, and Sai gave him his creepy smile. Right, the Chunin said, clearing his throat. "Anything else?" he asked, but all of them shook their heads. "Very well. Each team was given a random spot on the bottom of the mountain. The test will begin momentarily," the Chunin said, and stepped aside. "What should we do?" Hinata asked towards her teammates. "This is the highest mountain in the world. With an altitude of around 10,000 meters, 32,000 feet, to normal civilians it would take weeks to train and more weeks to actually reach the top," Naruto mused. "Even if we are shinobi, climbing a mountain without making sure everyone knows the dangers would be foolish," Naruto explained. "But if we climb to the top, we can secure ourselves a flag," Sai said. "Taking into account that no one has reached it before," Hinata added, and Naruto nodded. "I guess we'll make a run to the top. The edges of the mountain are extremely slippery, so use caution with your chakra. The temperature will drop severely as we go up. Everyone knows the thermal code jutsu, right?" Naruto asked, and got nods from both Hinata and Sai. "As we go up, oxygen concentration will start to decrease, so coat your lungs with chakra to compensate, and finally be very careful for random bursts of wind that can detach you from the mountain and send you to your deaths. Everyone understand?" Naruto asked, and got nods once again. "Good. Let's go then," Naruto said, as the team positioned themselves at the bottom of the mountain, waiting for the go signal from the Chunin. "Hajime!" the Chunin yelled as a loud bell echoed through the air, and Naruto and his team immediately jumped onto the mountainside, channeling chakra to their feet and sticking to it. They shot upwards at high speeds, intending to secure a flag for themselves. Meanwhile, in Konoha, Tsunade sighed as she took a sip from her sake. She shook her shoulders, trying to get rid of her stiffness as she picked up another report. She started reading when her eyes widened. Autopsy report, performed by Takashi Taro. Assistant Rin Takara. Date, June 13th of the 91st Shinobi year. Time, 4:30 p.m. Summary report. Name, Hyuga Hayashi's coroner case. 2014-542. Date of birth, January 8th, age 44. Gender, male, bloodline, Byakugan. Evidence of treatment, NA. External examination. The autopsy began at 4:30 p.m. on June 13th of the 91st Shinobi year. The subject is wearing gray pants and shirt consistent with the traditional garb of a Konoha prisoner. The clothes are in good condition given that the subject's incarceration was recent. The body is that of a developed 44-year-old man measuring 176 centimeters 70 inches and weighing 66 kilograms 145 pounds. The body shows scar tissue and many other wounds that never properly healed, which is consistent with the subject's medical file. Medically amputated right arm. Internal examination. Skeletal system. The subject displayed numerous broken bones all over the body with particular focus on arms, legs, and ribs. The ribs 7 to 12 show multiple fractures. Cardiovascular system. The heart weighs 300 grams and possesses normal size and configuration. Upon further analysis, a small blockage was found in the coronary arteries. This prevented proper blood flow into the heart, preventing the heart muscle from receiving oxygenated blood. Opinion. Normally, a block of this size should not be deadly for the body of a professional shinobi. I infer that the lack of proper nutrition and general living conditions of the prisoner may have led to furthering this problem. Cause of death, acute myocardial infarction. State, body destroyed according to protocol. Unbelievable, Snotty muttered, reading the report 3 times to make sure she missed nothing. Shinobi with active chakra networks don't get sick unless it's a really deadly disease. It's one of the perks of being a shinobi, Snotty mused and thought. And even though he was a clan head with very few missions, he should still be in shape. She couldn't grasp how this could have occurred. She could only do one thing. She took a deep breath and shouted across the Hokage Tower, "Shizune!" Back with Naruto. 2 hours had passed since Naruto's team ventured themselves into the high mountain. Their climb had been rather dull since they didn't come across any other team. The starting points at the foot of the mountain were random and separate for each team, so it wasn't completely out of the ordinary. They had just passed the halfway mark and they could already feel the shortage of breath due to lack of oxygen. Not to mention the freezing temperatures didn't exactly help. In the end, they were shinobi, the strongest warriors available in the world. Even to a decently trained shinobi, these conditions were nothing but bothersome. While they could delay them, they surely wouldn't hinder them. Naruto had begun using his thermal coat to keep his body temperature at acceptable levels. He scanned his surroundings and saw nothing but snow all around them. He turned towards Sai, who also had his thermal coat on. His attention shifted towards Hinata, who was right in the middle of the ground with her Byakugan activated. That was when Naruto felt it. "Hinata-chan," Naruto called, but Hinata didn't turn her head. She didn't need to with her Byakugan on. She just gave a small nod of acknowledgement. "I can see you don't have your thermal coat on. Aren't you cold?" Naruto asked curiously. "Not really. It feels nice, actually," Hinata replied, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Naruto thought curiously. "Nearly negative 30 degrees and she says it's nice?" Naruto thought, shaking his head in amusement. Boom! Naruto, Hinata, and Sai immediately halted their progress when they heard a loud explosion rain through the air. They tried to pinpoint the location of the sound and shifted their attention towards the left, which they could see a large column of smoke rising. "Looks like we are not alone in this," Hinata said as she stretched her Byakugan range towards the smoke. "One team down," Hinata said as she watched one team racing down the mountain with an avalanche on their trail. It was quite amusing, actually. She knew that they wouldn't die with a simple avalanche, but watching them stumble down the mountain was far too amusing to pass up watching. "Do you have eyes on Shika's team?" Naruto asked, and Hinata refocused her Byakugan, increasing her range and scanning the whole mountain for their friends. "They are climbing the mountain as well," Hinata replied. "They're on the other side and just past the 4-mile mark. We are the closest team to the peak," Hinata said and chuckled, getting a curious look from Naruto. "Just our luck. We got the steepest path on this mountain," Hinata said, and Naruto chuckled as well. Sai remained there, feeling almost like a third wheel with the exception he felt nothing of sorts. A couple hours later. "Welcome to the top of Crystal Peak," some of the Kuma Shinobi greeted Naruto's team as they arrived at the top. Looks like we're the first to arrive, Naruto said, and the shinobi nodded. Man, what a view, Naruto said, looking around, and could see nothing but pure white around. The mountain was so high that they stood above the cloud bank. It looked like a blanket of pure white with the sun shining in the blue sky. I almost feel tempted to jump on the clouds, Naruto laughed, and Hinata shook her head. I wouldn't recommend that. It's a long way down, the Kumo shinobi smirked. Here is your flag, the shinobi said, handing a small black flag to Naruto. Good luck on the rest of the stage, the shinobi said, and everyone nodded. At least we'll be faster on the way down, Hinata said, as she and her team jumped and started running downwards towards the forest. I have a suggestion, Sai said, breaking her conversation and gaining their attention. Choju Giga. Super Beast scrolled, Sai said, and he drew something on his scroll. With a loud screech, 3 black and white birds shot from the scroll. They flapped their wings, creating a small gust of wind, and rose into the air. It'll be faster, Sai said, jumping on top of one of the birds while he waited for Naruto and Hinata to join. Sounds good, Naruto said, jumping on top of one while Hinata took the last one. With a loud screech, the birds plummeted downwards at blind speeds. How come you didn't offer this when we were climbing? Naruto placed a hand in front of his eyes to shield the wind. Didn't remember, Sai simply said, and Naruto's sweat dropped and focused on controlling the bird. The Forbidden Forest. So this is the famous Forbidden Forest of Kumo, Naruto said, as seeing his team arrive at the entrance of the forest. I'm impressed, Naruto said, crossing his arms as he scanned the forest in front of him. He did admit that the forest did have a certain ominous feeling to it. The forest itself seemed shrouded in darkness, and a cold breeze swept by. Naruto's team ventured themselves into the forest and watched in fascination as the entrance seemed to close itself behind them, as if trapping them in the forest forever. Genjutsu, Hinata whispered loud enough to her team to hear. They both nodded in agreement, feeling the subtle change in their chakra networks. An enemy team? Sai asked, placed a hand on the hilt of his tanto. He scanned his surroundings very carefully, trying to ascertain any danger. No, Hinata replied after Byakugan activated. It seems it's been here for a while, Hinata explained. Probably one of the many traps placed here just for the stage, Naruto offered, and both agreed as they moved forward. The forest seemed taken from a horror movie. The forest was thick with trees so high that it dwarfed them. The light barely seemed to penetrate a cloak of leaves at the top. On the ground, there were some type of black flowers, while every other flower was dead, their leaves withering away. Impossible terrain blocked with rocks and forms that seemed a natural occurrence. A sound rang through the forest, a small owl hooting. This is really one creepy place, Naruto shivered. Scared? Hinata teased. Oh, sure, Naruto replied sarcastically. This coming from the one who launched a full water dragon inside our bedroom to kill a spider, Naruto said deadpan while Hinata huffed. They are mean little buggers. Besides, it worked, didn't it? Hinata asked while Naruto just shook his head. Suddenly, Naruto turned and flung a kunai to his left. The kunai sailed through the air at blinding speeds. One could almost hear the whistle. Thump! Naruto looked around and noticed his target. A beast, 8-eyed, 8-legged, jet black, hairy. A gigantic black spider with legs measuring up to 10 feet, poisonous green liquid dripping from its veins, and a kunai embedded deeply in its skull, between its multiple black, pupilless eyes. Scared? Naruto teased while Hinata smiled and shook her head in defeat. What did I tell you? Naruto turned back to Hinata and pointing towards the animal. This place is creepy, he said, and Hinata just shook her head. Can you locate the tower? Sai asked, and Hinata nodded, sitting down and crossing her legs. Her chakra flared and the veins of her face bulged out. She focused and extended her Byakugan range. She saw past a tree, past the blockade of thorns and rocks, past the river that split the forest, and reached the outer edge of the forest. There are hundreds of those things here, Hinata said in a gasp. She watched her Byakugan as a pack of nearly 10 of those spiders dismembered other animals. And just as many snakes of equal size. Great, Naruto replied in a sarcastic voice.
You could burn it down,
Kurama offered while Naruto chuckled at his opinion. I could, but I doubt that the Raikage would be pleased, Naruto replied. Found it, Hinata said, breaking Naruto from his conversation. The tower is about 10 miles southeast. I also spotted a couple of teams around, setting up traps and ambushes. 2 teams have flags on them, Hinata explained. Which team with a flag is closer to the tower, Naruto asked, and Hinata extended her arm pointing in some direction. Lead on, Naruto said, and Hinata jumped forwards. Not even half an hour later, Hinata motioned and everyone halted their progress. Naruto activated his Sharingan and could see 3 chakra signatures half a mile away. What's the plan? Sai asked as he observed the enemy Kumo team from the trees. Spring the trap, Naruto smirked and brought his hands in a T shape. Kage Bunshi no Jutsu! Shaokon Jutsu. 3 clones appeared next to the original Naruto. 2 of them were enveloped in smoke to reveal a Sai and a Hinata. Without a word being said, the clone team jumped forward as if not noticing the traps. Enemy Shinobi won, the Kumo Shinobi yelled, and his team sprang into action. Shit! It's the team from Konoha, the Kumo Shinobi yelled as they took out their kunais and flung them. Hinata reared her right arm and pushed it forward, releasing an pressurized ball of wind that simply swept the kunais away. Right on! Sanaborto! Thunderbolt! The hand of one of the Kumo Shinobi started sparkling as they were enveloped in a blue aura. As he shouted a name, dozens of sparks were unleashed upon Naruto and his team. Naruto picked up his fan and released a gust of wind, dispelling the Kumo's lightning attack. Damn! The Kumo Shinobi muttered. The Kumo team picked their swords up and rushed forward to meet Naruto, Hinata, and Sai head-on. As they cleared their distance and the clash seemed unavoidable, Naruto smirked and the clones dispelled, leaving behind a white cloud of smoke. Where are they? One member asked to another. I don't. The shinobi didn't manage to reply as he fell to the ground with a thump sound. What His other teammate fell to the ground, and the last member was left all alone against 3 shinobi of Konoha. He didn't get much time to think as he felt a small pinch in the back of his neck and everything went black. Once the smoke had cleared, the original Naruto, Hinata, and Sai jumped into the clearing. Nice job, Naruto said, and Hinata thanked him, pocketing her favorite senbon. There were 3 missing senbon from her stash. Those 3 were presently attached to the neck of the Kumo Shinobi, 1 senbon for each. Here is the flag, Naruto said, picking up the flag, making their count 2. Hinata-chan, find us a good place to rest and we'll continue on tomorrow, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded, using her Byakugan to scan the nearby area. Clang! Naruto heard a small metal noise and turned just in time to see Sai unsheath his Tanto. He wondered what he was doing with his sword out, and his eyes widened when Sai approached the Kumo team and raised his arm. Smack! It was just a blur to Sai's eyes. In a moment, he was about to end the Kumo team, and in the other, his hand was in a vice grip at the hands of Naruto. What do you think you're doing? Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes at his teammate. Finishing the enemy, Sai simply replied, his hand still gripping his Tanto. Why do you want to kill them? Naruto asked. They are unconscious and we have their flag. Kumo is not allied with Konoha. The exams give free reign upon the battles and thus no backlash. They are enemy shinobi who one day may pose a threat to Konoha, Sai simply replied, looking intently in Naruto's eyes. This is just a competition. There is no need for blood. Lower your weapon, Naruto said. Then I shall make it clean, Sai countered, and Naruto resisted the urge to facepalm himself. There is no need for deaths, Naruto said in a serious tone, but Sai seemed unrelenting. It is best to kill the weed before it grows, Sai said. I'm the team captain. Lower your weapon, that is an order, Naruto ordered, and Sai nodded. Yes, sir, Sai said, slowly lowering his arm and sheathing his Tanto, his face emotionless, giving nothing away. Naruto released the grip on his arm and went to join Hinata. Damn brute shinobi and their emotional conditioning, Naruto thought as he released a long sigh and turned to his teammate. Come, Sai. Let's make camp and rest for a night, Naruto said. Middle of the night. The night came quickly and darkness enveloped the forest. The trees already made the forest dark during the day, but at night there was nothing but pitch black darkness. Sai looked up at the ceiling of trees to see a few rays of moonlight break the cover and provide some much needed vision. Sai shifted his attention to his surroundings. At the bottom of the tree, both Naruto and Hinata lay asleep while Sai kept guard. He looked towards the edge of the small clearing and spotted the ninja wire glistening under the moon. A few feet away, explosive tags attached with wire as well. Sai got up and silently opened his pack. From it, he retrieved a single scroll which contained the information of his mission, given to him personally by Danzo. He slowly unwrapped the scroll to get the mission description, but was surprised by the lack of it. When he read what the mission entailed, his eyes widened and his mouth opened in shock, but no sound came out. Dispose of Senju Naruto and Senju Hinata. Flashback. The place looked like a pit. Sai looked around to see multiple wooden bridges, one above another. Sai walked to the edge and looked down only to find darkness at the bottom. Suddenly he heard footsteps and noticed Shimura Danzo approaching him, flanked by 2 shinobi, one on each side. Sai immediately got onto his knees. Danzo-sama, Sai said, bowing his head in greeting of his master. Welcome, Sai, Danzo said, and Sai slowly raised his head. It was customary to never meet the eyes of their master unless addressed first. I have a very important mission for you, Danzo replied, and Sai nodded. His face, although seemingly emotionless and natural, portrayed determination and attention. Tomorrow you'll be called to the Hokage's office, where you'll receive your mission, which will last nearly a month. You will be the third member of one of Konoha's teams that Lady Tsunade will be sent to join exams in Kumo. Understand so far, Danzo asked, and Sai nodded. The exam will have the same structure as the Chunin exams. The first stage will be some sort of basic skills evaluation, the second stage will be a survival exercise, and the last stage will be the tournament, Danzo explained and handed Sai a single scroll. Your mission is specified on that scroll, which you are only to open during the second stage of the exams, preferably when you are alone. Understood? Danzo asked. It shall be done, Danzo-sama, Sai replied, pocketing the scroll. I'm sure I don't need to explain the importance of every mission I give, correct? Danzo asked, taking a deep breath and looking firmly at Sai. En route, you have no name. You have no feelings, you have no past, you have no future. There is only the mission, Sai recited, and Danzo nodded at his apprentice. You are dismissed, Danzo ordered, and Sai bowed his head once again before walking away and disappearing into the darkness of the tunnels. Permission to speak freely, Danzo shifted his attention towards his right. The shinobi to his right wore a short black jacket with red straps on the shoulders. He also wore a red short kimono under the jacket with a black sash, a pair of black gloves, dark colored pants, and regular shinobi sandals. Granted, Fu, Danzo replied and focused on what the shinobi had to say. Do you think Sai will be able to accomplish the mission? Fu asked while Danzo hummed. Naruto has grown strong, far too strong to be controlled. That is the problem with strong shinobi and the reason why most defect from their villages. Young Naruto may not believe it, but power and fear are the absolutes of this world. And when some shinobi reach power beyond their leaders, then it gets very complicated. What do you think Naruto would do should Lady Tsunade ever issue an order that would oppose his beliefs? Do you think he would abide by her orders if they conflict with his own gains? Danzo asked, but Fu remained silent. Shinobi are nothing but weapons, and I do not wish for one that will not obey me, Danzo explained. And what about Lady Hinata? The shinobi to Danzo's left asked. He was a fairly tall and lean-built man. He had fair skin and short, spiked, dull black hair. His glasses were built into the mask, obscuring his eyes, and he was also heavily clothed. He wore a short black jacket with red straps over his shoulders and a high-colored all-black outfit with a red sash around his waist and what appeared to be an apron over his pants. Yes, Torun. Senju Hinata, formerly known as Hyuga Hinata, disowned daughter of the former clan head Hyuga Hiyashi. Danzo chuckled slowly. Naruto did a remarkable job with her. She may seem shy, serene, kind, and very fragile, but she's just as much of a princess as I am, Danzo replied in a thoughtful manner. While she doesn't possess the raw power and strength that Naruto does, she is just as deadly. You saw what she did to Hiyashi, her own father, and one of Konoha's strongest. In fact, in some points, I do believe the girl to be more dangerous than the boy himself. Naruto is loud and brash, Senju attributes, and in the end, I should be glad they didn't inherit the Uchiha ones. The girl, on the other hand, Danzo mused, she is smart, objective, and decisive. Necessary traits for medics, after all, Danzo explained. She wouldn't just jump into war like him. If I know her as well as I think I do, she would stick to the shadows and wait for the best moment to strike, like a true shinobi. Her beauty alone would get her anywhere she wished, and with her talents and my training, she would be a Hokage to remember, Danzo said wishfully. I do not fear the one who jumps into battle without thought. I fear those who hide in the shadows, the man behind the man behind the man. And she just strikes me as a person who would be the mastermind, hiding in the shadows and working with peons. But alas, she shares the same philosophy of her husband. Danzo finished in silent defeat. She would have been great en route. If both of them are like that, what makes you certain that Sai will accomplish the mission, Fu asked, and Danzo chuckled darkly. Even a Kage falls to a kunai. End of flashback. I have my orders, Sai thought, as he saw the scroll in front of him disintegrate into speckles of dirt. He looked towards Naruto and Hinata, who were sleeping near the tree, and with the stealth training he had, he put his plan into motion. He, slowly and quietly as the night, started unpacking the necessary items for the mission. He took out and unsheathed his tanto, laying it on the ground. From his pack, he took a single vial, which had some skull etched on the label, some kind of poison. And finally, a single strand of some kind of wire, transparent and almost invisible to the naked eye. The girl would die from the poison. Even if she was a first-class medic on par or better than Tsunade herself, she would die in her sleep. Sai picked the wire and poison and jumped onto the tree, staying right above her. He took out the wire and held it right above her mouth. Sai took the poison and dropped a single drop on the wire. Sai watched in anticipation as the purple drop slowly made its way down the wire. Once it reached its destination, it simply fell from the wire and directly onto the lips of Senju Hinata. Hinata seemed to have felt something in her mouth as she licked her lips and rolled to the side, like nothing had ever happened. Sai rolled the wire up and took out his tanto. Poison wouldn't work on Naruto due to him being a Jinchuriki. In fact, short of taking out his head and piercing his heart, killing a Jinchuriki was no easy task. But this one was asleep. Sai pointed his tanto at his target and leapt from the tree. The tanto glistened under the moonlight as Sai pointed at Naruto. The tanto pierced through Naruto's ribcage and embedded itself deeply into his chest, severing the carotid artery. Naruto's eyes shot open and his mouth opened, but no sound came out as he died instantly. Sai got up and left his sword in Naruto's chest as he approached Hinata. He brought a single finger to her neck to search for a pulse. He found none. He let out a breath that he didn't know he was holding as he made his way to his backpack. He took out a single scroll and drew a bird on it. Go to Danzo-sama, Sai said, and the bird shot into the sky with two simple words. Sai turned around to collect his veins and disappear from the forest. This is a new low even for Danzo. Sai heard and froze on the spot. He turned towards the origin of the sound and saw nothing but a pair of glowing red eyes with three black tomoe spinning. Sai quickly turned to the bodies of Naruto and Hinata only for them to shimmer out of existence. Genjutsu, Sai whispered to himself. Since when? Sai asked as he gripped his tanto that somehow was still on his back. The owner of the Sharingan eyes walked out of the shadows and into the moonlight. Naruto and Hinata stepped into the clearing completely unharmed, but with annoyed expressions on their faces. How long, you ask? Naruto asked, smirking slightly. My dear friend, Hinata smiled. You have been under our genjutsu before we left the Hokage Tower in Konoha, Hinata said, and Sai was shocked. Tsunade-sama warned us about you, and I didn't wish to take any chances, Hinata explained. Naruto's eyes glowed, and Sai gulped, feeling lightheaded. Sai dropped his tanto and fell to the ground on his knees. His pupils were dilated, and he seemed to stare into nothing. Just my luck. Why do these things always happen to us? Naruto wondered out loud. He released a long sigh as he looked at the dark sky. It was a full moon, and its light shone across the vast forest. The leaves rustled with the nice cold air, and Naruto sighed again. He looked towards Hinata, who also seemed to be deep in thought, looking at Sai as if to solve a puzzle. What am I going to do with you? Naruto asked rhetorically, nursing his temples and shaking his head. We still need him alive to complete the stage, Hinata said, warning Naruto to not take any rash actions. I'll keep him under my control and make him drop the exams when you reach the tower, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded. What about Danzo? Naruto asked. I suggest we let things run its course until we can come up with something, Hinata suggested, and Naruto nodded. Sai, can you run? Naruto asked, and Sai just nodded. Good. Let's hurry back to the tower then, Naruto said, and all three of them left the clearing. At the tower, Naruto, Hinata, and Sai arrived at the tower 2 hours later. Sai's conscious mind was being kept locked within a genjutsu, and now he was nothing more than a puppet, waiting for his orders. Welcome to the hidden tower, a shinobi at the door greeted Naruto's team. Do you have the flags, he asked, and Naruto handed him his 2 black flags. Very well. You may proceed inside and wait for the task to end. There are rooms available for you to rest, the shinobi explained, and everyone nodded. I wish to drop the competition, Sai suddenly said, and the shinobi stumbled in surprise. What? Are you sure? He asked. Yes, Sai simply replied. Fine, I guess. Senju Naruto and Senju Hinata will proceed to the third task. Good luck, the shinobi said, and watched as the team disappeared inside. Once Naruto, Hinata, and Sai found their room, Sai disappeared into Naruto's dimension where he would stay for the next month. Next day, Root headquarters. Danzo was working in his office when he was interrupted by a loud screech. He looked up to see a black and white bird flying towards him. Danzo took out a simple scroll and watched as the bird crashed into it and formed words. Mission accomplished. I never doubted him for a moment, Danzo smiled to himself. Fu, Torun, Danzo said, hitting his cane on the ground. In front of him dropped his most loyal followers. Begin Operation Phoenix, Danzo said, and both shinobi nodded, disappearing from view. Soon, Danzo chuckled darkly. Konoha will burn, and a better one will rise from the ashes. And that is the end of chapter 53, and we'll now move on to chapter 54, which is Problems Arise. Here we go. Chapter 54, Problems Arise. Hidden Tower, Forbidden Forest. Welcome back. Both Naruto and Hinata looked up to see a familiar white mask with blue patterns. The man was clad in samurai-style blue armor with white fur adorning his shoulders. Your room is this way. Blue led Naruto and Hinata deep into the tower and towards the room where they would spend the following days. Extending his senses, Naruto felt no one nearby. Where is Hashirama? Is he waiting for Shika's team? Naruto asked. If Shika is that pineapple-haired guy that seems bored by everything but seems driven to find what lies behind our masks, then no, Toriyama answered, sighing. That boy was getting on his nerves, more than that green freak. What happened to the good old shinobi? Toriyama cried, anime tears in his head. He went to the Valley of the End for a quick stop, Toriyama explained, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. What for? Naruto asked. Fix his statue, Toriyama groaned while both Naruto and Hinata laughed. I figured he wasn't very happy about the fight's collateral damage, Naruto chuckled, while Toriyama just shook his head. Meh, Toriyama shrugged and looked around for something. Where is your teammate? The pale-faced one, Toriyama asked, and immediately noticed the dark looks on both Naruto and Hinata. What happened? Toriyama sighed, feeling a headache coming around. The bastard tried to kill us in our sleep, Naruto gritted his teeth. He still didn't make up his mind on what to do with Sai. On one hand, he tried to kill them in their sleep. On the other, he was a fellow shinobi of the leaf, albeit a root one. Why did I even ask? Toriyama muttered in his breath, nursing his temples. Any idea why? Toriyama asked, but Naruto shook his head. It happened a couple hours ago, and he's currently taking a nap in my dimension. I still haven't had the time to interrogate him, Naruto explained, and Toriyama nodded. We are here, Toriyama said, as he stopped near the door, halfway down a long corridor. I got you to share the bedroom, and since Sai is sleeping away, then I'll just release the other room to the other participants, Toriyama said, opening the door and entering the room. It It was a simple room for lack of better words. A small window provided vision to the forest, a small bed big enough for both Naruto and Hinata. Next to the bed was a small bedstand, and on the wall was the dresser. Naruto walked towards the door inside the room and noticed that it led to a small bathroom. Seems good enough, Naruto said, and Toriyama nodded and started walking out. By the way, Toriyama suddenly said, stopping by the door. Do you want any help in your training during this month? Toriyama asked, and Naruto looked towards Hinata, who shrugged her shoulders and shook her head. Guess not. You and Hashirama can focus on Shika's team. They need it more than us, Naruto said, and Toriyama nodded, walking out. What are we supposed to do now? Hinata asked, but Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Dropping to the bed, his armor rattling at the action. Naruto closed his eyes but didn't go to sleep. He merely went to a meditative state in order to think about his problems and promises. Next day, Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes and noticed it was already morning. He shifted on his head and noticed an empty spot next to him. He blinked and cleared the blurriness to notice that Hinata wasn't in the bed or in the room for that matter. He sat on the bed and noticed a small slip of paper on the stand. Went for my morning workout. Love, Hinata. I wonder why she didn't wake me up, Naruto wondered and thought, until he heard the door open and saw Hinata walking in. Her clothes were wet and she had sweat running down her face. Even her hair seemed somewhat sticky. Morning, Hinata said as she entered the room and noticed Naruto awake. Morning, Naruto replied, eyeing Hinata with curiosity. She took out a towel and approached Naruto and gave him a small kiss, making Naruto cringe his nose. You stink, Naruto said, and Hinata just giggled. Why did you go out so early? Naruto asked, curious. I plan on working on a few techniques today, Hinata replied, as she separated from Naruto and started heading towards the shower. Nothing like cold water hammering your sore muscles. Want help? Naruto asked, but Hinata quickly turned around. No, 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 Hinata said, wiggling her index finger at him. These will be my secret jutsus for the tournament, Hinata explained. Really? Naruto asked, raising his eyebrows as curiosity sparkled. Can't I get a few at least? Naruto innocently asked. If they work as I suspect, I'll have 2 more S-rank moves in my repertoire. One defensive and another offensive, Hinata explained, and Naruto nodded. S-rank? Naruto asked, and Hinata simply nodded. What about you? What do you plan on doing today? Hinata asked. Nothing seems appealing, Naruto replied, and Hinata smiled as Naruto draped himself on the sheets and dug his head into the pillow. But anyways, I'm going to Konoha to do a bit of research, Naruto said, and Hinata blinked at his words. Research? Hinata asked sweetly, and Naruto nodded, but when he noticed the dark look she got, his mind suddenly clicked. No. Naruto waved his hands defensively in front of him. I mean, I'm going to the library in the Senju compound, not the hot springs, Naruto quickly replied in silent relief as Hinata smiled again.
Whipped.
Kurama said from his mind, making Naruto chuckle weakly. Good boy, Hinata smiled and patted Naruto's head. Am I a dog or something? Naruto thought, sweat dropping while Kurama was rolling on the floor, laughing his ass off. Maybe I'll talk to Sai as well, Naruto said. Let me know how that goes, Hinata said. Naruto nodded and watched as Hinata headed off to the bathroom. Naruto sighed and dropped to the bed again, looking at the ceiling. What am I going to do with you? Naruto's thoughts wandered towards Sai as Naruto got up, dressed, and with a simple Kamui, he swirled into his own dimension. Naruto's Kamui dimension. Naruto arrived at his dimension, and it was the same way he always left it. What a bleak place, Naruto said as he arrived at his dimension. He never did much about it with the exception of a wall where he had a few weapons in case he ran out. The sky was pitch black. There was no wind, no animal sounds, nothing but silence. His dimension was comprised solely of cement cubes that seemed to hang in the air, all of them separate from each other. There was no sun, no north or south pole, no up or down. Naruto walked to the wall he built and noticed the weapons he had. Several Fuma shuriken, or for those that don't know, large 4-blade shuriken. Naruto could release them directly from his dimension and into the enemy. His chokuto that he hadn't used in a while also hanged on the wall, but his two main weapons hanged in the middle of it, staying side by side. On the left was the staff that Hagrom had given him, and on the right was his fan, an heirloom passed down between the heads of the Uchiha clan until Uchiha Madara had deserted from his clan. Nonetheless, it was passed down to Minato and later on himself. Naruto shifted his attention towards the final member of his team. Sai was bound by ropes and was staring at him neutrally. Comfy? Naruto asked, but Sai remained neutral, staring at his soon-to-be torturer with seemingly dead eyes. Naruto lost his happy attitude and adopted an equally blank look. Naruto crouched until he remained at eye level with Sai, cold blue eyes staring unflinchingly at Sai. Sai, determined to never lose, stared with equal strength and vigor. Both seemed driven to make the other flinch. Seconds turned into minutes, and Naruto got tired and simply stopped the stare and got up. Sai released a breath he didn't even know he was holding. "You are not going to break me," Sai said, and Naruto suddenly turned around. "Nice to see some participation from you," Naruto replied, chuckling as Sai returned to his blank look. "But don't misunderstand me. I have no intention of breaking you," Naruto said, and almost laughed when Sai's jaw threatened to drop. It was normal protocol to try and break prisoners for information. Even Genin knew that. "If I wanted to break you, I would simply hand you over to Ibiki for some mind play, or perhaps drop you at Anko's house," Naruto said, chuckling, and smiled when he noticed that Sai seemed to shiver at the mention of Anko. "Oh yes," Naruto almost hissed. "When dear Anko-chan was through with you, you would be singing like a canary and be the embodiment of Dickless, my friend. I've seen some of her patients, and it isn't pretty," Naruto explained. "I mean, have you seen her snakes?" Naruto rhetorically asked. "She has more snake poisons than Konoha has of antidotes, and you know how sadistic she can be. Always searching for a volunteer," Naruto said, and noticed Sai's pulse started to quicken. "But since I don't have any intention of breaking you, you are safe from them," Naruto said, and Sai sighed in relief. "But not from me," Naruto replied, glaring at Sai with his Sharingan glowing. "People always give too much credit to pain," Naruto explained, waving his hands dismissively. "It's true that under certain conditions, pain can be very persuasive, but root agents are supposed to be strong-willed, emotion-free, and have the mindset of perfect soldiers, right?" Naruto rhetorically asked. "I mean," Naruto began dismissively, "you are supposed to feel no fear, no compassion, no love, no regrets, and no self-preservation. You're supposed to carry orders to the letter, and should your master ask you to slit your throats, you would do so with no hesitation," Naruto drawled, getting a sour flavor in his mouth. "I've even heard of a secret medical procedure to disable the nerve clusters in the brain, disabling any feeling of pain whatsoever," Naruto explained. "I myself am a mind person. No matter what you do to a person's mind, they'll never physically die. You might see someone turn into a vegetable, but that only happens to amateurs of the mind arts," Naruto began. "But the thing almost everyone overlooks, even some excellent shinobi like Inuichi, is that the mind is not a book, to be opened at will and examined at leisure. Thoughts are not etched on the inside of skulls to be pursued by any invader. The mind is a complex and many-layered thing. It is true, however, that those skilled in the mind arts are able, under certain conditions, to delve into the minds of their victims and to interpret their findings correctly," Naruto explained, and noticed a bead of sweat running down Sai's head. "You can resist, of course. Those strong-willed always offer some type of resistance towards any invader. However, under the right circumstances and with proper, shall we say, precision, any mind crumbles," Naruto finished smiling. "Danzo wants the perfect soldier. Let's see if you truly are one then," Naruto said, and he sat on the ground, crossing his legs, and saying directly in front of Sai. Sai tried to think of anything to help himself. His curse seal only stopped him of physically talking and therefore not blocking anyone from entering his mind. The moment Naruto's eyes glowed, Sai fought desperately for a counter. His first thoughts were of running away, but he was currently wrapped in ropes with chakra disruption seals, making any molding impossible. Sai did the only other thing possible and snapped his eyelids shut, blocking Naruto's gaze. Sai foolishly let out a sigh of relief until he heard Naruto's chuckle. The problem is that the chuckle came not from the outside, but from inside his own mind. He had been compromised. Inside Sai's mind. Naruto arrived into Sai's mind and immediately started shifting through the memories. He began with those buried deeper, meaning Sai's oldest memories of his early life. "Welcome back, sir," a woman with brown hair and simple clothes answered. Naruto narrowed his eyes at her since he would recognize her anywhere. She was the nurse in charge of the orphanage of Konoha. He went way back with her back when he still lived in that hellhole of a place. "I trust you have what I want," the man replied, and Naruto chuckled when he noticed him. A man walking with a wooden cane, X-shaped scar on his chin, with white bandages across his right eye. Shimura Danzo. The woman nodded and stepped aside to reveal some black-haired and very pale-skinned kid behind her back. "Shall we do this somewhere more private?" Danzo asked, and the matron nodded, leading Danzo through the cold halls of the orphanage. He stopped near a door and waited for the matron to unlock it. "Ha ha ha ha! You'll never catch me!" Danzo, the matron, and the kid turned to the sound spike to see another kid being chased around the orphanage. The kid had spiky blonde hair, deep blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he noticed his younger self appear in the memories of Sai. "I never realized that Sai went to the same orphanage as me," Naruto mumbled in his thoughts. He didn't remember ever seeing him, but apparently he did. "Go away, demon brat!" the matron snapped, and young Naruto froze in his steps when he heard the matron's voice. He nodded meekly and quickly hurried away from the halls. "I still wonder why Hokage-sama lets him live," the matron sighed, shaking her head while Danzo narrowed his eyes at young Naruto. "I don't suppose you want to take him as well?" the matron asked, somewhat hopefully, while Danzo pondered. He could take the cutie brat and make him the perfect tool for the village, but he was too high profile for that. He will never strive with the amount of hate he receives, Danzo thought before making his decision. "Him, I cannot. Hiruzen is too closely attached to him," Danzo simply replied. "A shame," the matron replied and opened a door to reveal 4 other kids. "So, 5 in total?" Danzo asked, and the matron nodded, walking inside and opening some drawer. She retrieved multiple files and handed them over to Danzo. "5 is the total we can negotiate. Any more and the other nurses might notice," the matron replied, and Danzo nodded, handing her a small envelope. The matron greedily accepted the package and quickly opened it to reveal a stack of money. "Do we have a deal?" Danzo asked, and the matron quickly nodded her head. "Alright, kids. You are being adopted by this fine man. Treat him with respect and obey him. Understood?" The matron glared at them, and the kids all nodded their heads in acceptance. "Yes, he told me, son," the kids chorused together, and they were led away by Danzo. Naruto shook with rage when he realized that the matron had been selling kids to Danzo. In the aftermath of the Kyuubi attack 17 years ago, many people died and the influx of orphans almost broke the orphanage. It was ripe for the taking, Naruto muttered and promised to have words with her. Naruto released the memory and started scavenging for the next one. This time, they were in some underground facility. Naruto watched as some root instructor lined up several kids in a perfect line. All the kids seemed older, around 6 years old, and they were in a perfect stance. "Next," the instructor ordered, and Naruto watched as a pale-skinned kid he remembered from the orphanage stepped forward. "You will be named Sai. Yesterday you didn't exist, today you don't exist, tomorrow you won't exist. Is that clear?" the instructor asked with a stern tone. "Yes," Sai replied with a small smile tugging the corner of his lips. Smack! The instructor reared his head and backhanded Sai across the face. Sai grunted in pain as he fell to the ground, clutching his bloodied lips. No smiles, no emotions, no weaknesses. Is that clear? The instructor asked, glaring at the kid on the ground. Yes, Sai barely replied for the pain. The same goes for the rest of you, the instructor ordered. Yes, sir, the rest of the kids chorused together. Honestly, Naruto said, shaking his head as he let go of the memory and focused on another. Happy birthday, some gray-haired kid yelled, handing Sai some book. What's this? Sai wondered as he lightly shook the package. Open it, the gray-haired kid said, shaking his head in amusement. It's a sketchbook. Sai's eyes lit up in happiness when he noticed his gift. Now I can draw a picture of you and me in here, Sai replied, making the gray-haired kid blink in confusion. Thank you, Shin Nisan, Sai yelled as he lunged forward and hugged Shin. Then you have to show it to me when it's done. Deal? Shin asked, and Sai quickly nodded in acceptance. Never realized he had a brother, Naruto mused. I don't really understand Danzo's training. The instructor punishes any emotion and then these two happily show them? Naruto said out loud as he scanned his memories for the next one. The scene changed into a desert terrain. Both Sai and Shin were staying face to face in full gear. Danzo was standing on a nearby cliff, watching the two brothers. I'm ordering the two of you to fight to the death. If by tomorrow one of you isn't dead, then I shall kill you both, Danzo ordered and Shin away. Naruto watched as the two brothers battled it out, with Shin trying to kill his brother. Sai, however, surprised Naruto, as he didn't fight back, unwilling to harm his brother. Naruto finally understood Shin's actions when he fell to the ground, coughing up blood. You are too gentle to make it out alive, Shin gritted his teeth, struggling to explain. Brother, Sai muttered with a shocked face. But you're the one who will live, Shin said as his eyes started to dim. You must kill your emotions, otherwise you won't survive en route, and this job will kill you, Shin said, and Sai could only nod as tears ran down his face. I really wanted to see his finished drawing. These were Shin's final thoughts as he closed his eyes and died. What a crappy life, Naruto muttered to himself as he finished reviewing Sai's thoughts. Naruto withdrew from Sai's mind and watched as his hollow eyes regained their black color. Naruto was happy he didn't show him his Rinnegan because he was even more confused on what to do now. After reviewing Sai's memories, he noticed that Sai knew nothing about Danzo's plans. For him, it was a simple mission. Danzo went to the length of hiding the mission description until the very last moment. Danzo knew that if Sai had his mission from the get-go, Naruto and Hinata might suspect him and thus compromise the mission. Sai, Naruto called out, but the only sign of acknowledgement was a raised head from Sai. His face may have been neutral, but his eyes betrayed him. They showed deep sadness, regret, and at some level, acceptance. Sai, who do you serve? Naruto asked, somewhat curious. Lord Dan... No, Sai started, but suddenly started shaking and squirming against his bindings. Sai took deep breaths and he started to gasp and his tongue burning, like someone had lit it on fire. Naruto watched as several black markings surrounded his body, and Sai suddenly found himself completely frozen, unable to move a single limb, much less even blink. A seal? Naruto thought in shock as he watched it spread across Sai's body. Naruto approached him and started rummaging through his memories until he came across a reference to what happened to him. A simple paralysis seal key to Danzo to prevent information leakage. Naruto thought as he kneeled in front of Sai and slowly opened his mouth and pulled his tongue outside to reveal a small black seal imprinted on the moist tissue. Fuinkai. Seal release. Naruto pressed 2 fingers against the black tattoo and channeled enough chakra to break the seal for good. The seal started sizzling into smoke until nothing remained. As the seal faded away, so did the black markings spread across Sai's body, returning him his movement. So Danzo is your master, correct? Naruto asked, and Sai simply nodded. He realized it was futile to hold against Naruto. he could just rummage through his memories and get every answer he wished in the blink of an eye. And who commands Lord Danzo? Naruto asks. Senju Tsunade, the 5th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, Sai replied, and Naruto smiled. So then, logically, you work and take orders from the leader of the Leaf Village, correct? Naruto rationalized, and Sai nodded. And yet you tried to kill me, the Senju clan head, and Hinata, one of, if not the best medic in Konoha, Naruto explained. What does that mean to a servant of the Leaf Village? Naruto asked. A traitor, Sai whispered in disbelief. It was an order from my superior, Sai explained. Then logic dictates that said superior is a traitor to the Leaf, correct? Naruto asked, and Sai nodded once again. Sai had betrayed the beliefs he had been trained to die for his whole life. If you knew that killing us will constitute an act of treason, then why did you choose to do it nonetheless? Naruto asked, and Sai frowned for the first time. In root, you have no name, you have no feelings, you have no past, you have no future. There is only the mission, Sai replied in such a tone that suggested that this creed had been ingrained deep in his brain. That is why you betrayed the Leaf. You feel no emotions. You don't know the difference between right and wrong. You follow orders without question, even if they go against your own beliefs, Naruto explained, but Sai remained silent. Naruto approached him and placed 2 fingers on his forehead. Don't worry. We will discuss this again when we go back to the Leaf. I'm placing you in a stasis until then, Naruto said, as Sai closed his eyelids and went into a deep sleep. Senju Compound's library. Naruto arrived at Konoha a few seconds later and made his way towards the library. Since Hinata wasn't there, he had to find a biology section, but this time for human beings. His jaw dropped at the size of that section in the library. Shelves upon shelves ranging from human anatomy, skeletal system, tissue systems, and cellular biology. It completely outshined the biology section on reptiles. It was a testament on how much research had been made on the human body. It shouldn't be surprising after all. Hundreds of people have searched ways to improve and stretch the levels of a human body. To stretch the strength, speed, power, in order to create a perfect body, a perfect weapon, a perfect shinobi. Even though hundreds were researching on how to break these limits, very few actually managed to even dent the barriers. Senju Tsunade, for instance, created her seal that drastically improved cellular regeneration on the cost of losing a few years of her life. Cells don't divide indefinitely. They have a limit, and when this barrier is stretched beyond their limits, the user's life expectancy diminishes. Another genius, although crazy, sadistic, and with no regard for human life, also fitting the description, is Orochimaru. People think he is evil, and they are right, but no one can refute that he is one of the best medical minds ever born. Like everyone else, Orochimaru searched to stretch the boundaries of the human vessel and came up with his own cursed seal, infusing Senjutsu chakra into the user. But like most people, Senjutsu chakra is extremely difficult to control. Of all the shinobi population on Earth, there are only 6 people that can withstand and use Senjutsu chakra, and of those, a mere 3 are perfect sages. Naruto himself was also searching for something similar, and while he didn't have the vast knowledge like Tsunade, Hinata, or Orochimaru had, he had something that none of them had. He had the Rinnegan, and with it, perfect control over yin and yang chakra. He didn't need vast knowledge to achieve what he wanted, simply because anything he thought of, anything he imagined, he could create. This is going to take time. Naruto sighed, breaking himself from his thoughts and started searching for the books he wanted. Naruto-chan? Is that you? Naruto heard and turned slightly to see Tsunade approaching. What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in Kumo? Tsunade asked, confused at the sight of Naruto in the library. Just came by to browse for a couple of books. By the way, me and Hinata qualified for the 3rd round, Naruto replied as he continued searching for the books. Never doubted you, Tsunade replied, proud of her grandson. What about Sai and the others? Tsunade asked, and immediately noticed the frown on Naruto's face. Shika and the others have yet to finish the second stage, and Sai, well, he tried to kill us in our sleep, Naruto said, sighing. What? Tsunade roared. It was a mission from Danzo. The whole protect the Senju heir in Kyubi Jinchuriki was a ruse to hide his true intentions, Naruto explained. I don't know what he attempted to accomplish with having me and Hinata of all people killed. When I get my hands on that pale freak and his mummy of a master... Tsunade laughed evilly, cracking her knuckles. It wasn't Sai's fault, Naruto simply replied, frowning again. Don't tell me you're defending Sai now? Tsunade asked in near disbelief. Attempted murder of a clan head was the highest level of treason possible, second only to attempts on the Hokage himself, and carried out immediate execution. I searched for his memories as he's just an emotion-conditioned tool, Naruto replied sadly. To him, it was just orders, nothing more. I have no use for shinobi who are willing to betray their comrades on orders, Tsunade replied, and Naruto seemed taken aback by her attitude. A bit harsh, wouldn't you say? Naruto asked. I could say the same for you. You are not one of showing pity to your enemies either, Tsunade said a bit harshly. Like I said, he isn't an enemy. He's a comrade, Naruto persuaded. One that tried to smother you during your sleep, Tsunade huffed in defiance. What is up with him? Tsunade thought to herself. Naruto didn't show neither mercy nor pity to his enemies. So what drove him to defend Sai of all people? One that couldn't even feel emotions to begin with. Just forget it, Naruto waved off the discussion. We will deal with him later when I return from the exams, Naruto said. Fine, Tsunade said in reluctance. What about the old mummy? Tsunade asked. Sai didn't know anything about his plans. Like I said, he was but a tool. Sai didn't even know about his mission until the very last second, Naruto explained. I don't know what Danzo's playing at, but you should keep an eye on him and his activities. Don't underestimate me, Naruto-chan. I may be a medic and a woman, but I didn't get chosen for Hokage because of my pretty face, Tsunade explained, smiling mischievously. I always have an eye on him, and if you want to know, he's been rather quiet these last few days, Tsunade said. I would never dream of underestimating you, Bachan, Naruto replied, chuckling. So, what are you doing up here? Tsunade asked suspiciously. Naruto didn't come to the library unless he was working on some new technique or something else concerning his overpowered eyes. Tsunade's eyes roamed around the shelf and noticed the books he had already picked up. Her blood ran cold as she noticed the exact titles Naruto was picking. Memories buried deep in her head rose for the first time in many years. Flashback. Yo, Orochibaka, enough of the books and let's go! A young, smaller, and less wrinkled version of Jiraiya yelled to his other comrade, Orochimaru, who was currently sitting in his chair. Countless papers, books, and her sketches spread across his table, sighed in annoyance. I can never get anything done with those two around, Orochimaru thought to himself as he slowly twisted his neck to see Jiraiya waving his hand in a come-on motion. Next to him was Tsunade, who was leaning against the wall, an annoyed expression on her face. Enough with this, Tsunade replied, leaving the wall and quickly approaching Orochimaru. She arrived next to him and peeked over his shoulder to find out exactly what he was working on and what had him so focused. She noticed sketches on the human nervous system, notes on cellular division, and many are spread across the table with seemingly no apparent order to them. She shifted her attention and her eyes landed on the books, stockpiled on the table. Human body biology, oxidative medicine and cellular longevity, mitosis and meiosis, cellular immortality, immortality, myth or reality. Orochimaru? Tsunade said, looking from the books to the neutral Orochimaru. You can't be serious, Tsunade said in surprise mixed with shock. Maybe, just maybe, there is no purpose in life. Orochimaru started annoyed that he was constantly interrupted. But if you linger a while longer in this world, you might discover something of value in it. Is that what you think? Tsunade asked. That there is no point in being alive? Quite the contrary. Orochimaru chuckled, looking at Tsunade's confused face. I treasure life more than you know. It's fear that holds us back from reaching new heights. Why isn't simply immortality the next step in our evolution? Orochimaru rhetorically asked as he started packing everything up. It's human nature that people won't realize the true value of something unless they lose it. And I, for one, do not wish to lose it to begin with, Orochimaru said as he finished packing and turned to Tsunade, who had a puzzled face. Is this research because of your parents? Tsunade softly asked and watched as Orochimaru nearly flinched. Don't look too much into it. I am merely doing this for my own benefit, Orochimaru said as he walked, and Tsunade reluctantly followed. Why? Tsunade seemed unable to stop her mouth from moving. I want to obtain all the jutsu and gain a true understanding of everything in this world, Orochimaru said, and with that he exited the room. And a flashback. Naruto? Tsunade called, leaving behind the affectionate name in order to portray her worries. You are old enough to make choices on your own. Tsunade started, and Naruto looked at Tsunade confused. I lost a very dear friend to what you are searching for right now. He lost himself in that research, and no matter how hard I or Jiraiya tried, he was lost to us. He became so immersed into his research and his final goals that he forsook everything that made him human to begin with. You're talking about Orochimaru, right? Naruto asked, and Tsunade nodded. I will never become like him, Naruto firmly replied, and Tsunade smiled. I know that you would never think of becoming like him. I'm just telling you to be careful with what you're researching for. It's easy to lose yourself, Tsunade warned, and Naruto nodded. I have faith, though, Tsunade said, placing a hand on his shoulder, that if anyone can crack the key to it, it'll be you. Tsunade smiled and walked off, leaving a very confused and pensive Naruto. Meanwhile, in Kumo, while Naruto was talking with Tsunade, Hinata was working hard on new techniques she had envisioned. 2 more S-rank level techniques for repertoire if they worked as she wanted. Currently, she was sitting in a small pool of water of her own creation. She was working on reaching the highest level of water manipulation possible. Several water tentacles raised ever so slowly from the pool and started flailing wildly around her without even grazing her skin. Hinata opened her eyes and concentrated on her own hand. Her Byakugan activated as she refined the control to the highest level possible, controlling the water inside her own body. Her right hand started softening, becoming somewhat translucent and gaining a light blue color. Just as her hand started becoming more and more water-like, her control somehow slipped, and her hand abruptly regressed to her normal color, although a bit dehydrated. Nearly 2 months of this, and I can only do it momentarily. Hinata frowned and fought, but she wouldn't give up. Hinata hissed at the pain as she submerged her hand in the pool and surveyed it with her Byakugan, checking for any damage she might have caused. Whatever technique she was working on seemed to be highly dangerous. She took a deep breath and was ready to begin again when she heard a loud shout break her concentration. Hinata! When Hinata heard the scream, she immediately recognized it was Shikamaru's voice. It sounded far too desperate than she would have liked it. Hinata immediately dropped her control, splashing water on the ground as she blurred towards the sound of the voice. To any bystander, she was nothing more than a purple blur. Her Byakugan blazed to life as she tracked Shikamaru's position to just a few corners away. She nearly gasped as she arrived near his team. His team seemed to have been through hell, their clothes completely ripped to pieces. With her Byakugan, she already noticed a few cracked bones in Shikamaru and Lee. They were all dirty, burn marks, and even blood splattered across the remainder of their clothes and skin. But the worst of it was Tenten. She was nearly unconscious, using Lee for arm support. Tenten was nearly dragging her feet through the ground as Lee did his best to carry her, but seemed completely spent. Tenten seemed to be hanging by a thread, her left arm completely missing, cleaved just lower than the shoulder joint. She had some type of tourniquet to hold the blood flow. While she had seen most types of injuries during her medical training, it was the look of complete despair on Shikamaru's face that frightened her. Flags? The Kumo Shinobi at the entrance asked. Out of the way! Shikamaru yelled as he pushed Johnny out of the way just as Hinata rounded the corner and arrived near them. Quick! Heal her! Shikamaru stressed as Lee lowered her to the ground right in the middle of the tower's entrance. Tenten was breathing very harshly and her eyelids were threatening to close. I need you awake for this, Hinata said, and Tenten managed a small nod. What happened? Hinata asked, trying to ascertain the injuries while she performed a quick diagnosis. We were ambushed as we arrived here, Shikamaru started, as he sat on the ground, exhausted. She was poisoned by one of those big spiders and we didn't have an antidote. While this poison was immediately deadly, we need you to heal her. As we arrived at the tower, we were ambushed by 2 sand teams, Shikamaru gritted his teeth. I was already low on chakra, and Tenten was compromised by the poison. Lee was forced to open the gates to fight them. The poison was slowly working and made her a static target for them. And you know how good Suna Shinobi are with wind jutsus. She caught a wind blade that cleaved her arm like it was butter, Shikamaru explained, and Hinata nodded. Shadow Clone Jutsu, Hinata says. Another clone popped into existence and immediately sat on the other side. The Hinata clone was performing a few gashes along Tenten's body, not on vital spots. What are you doing? Shikamaru asked in shock when he saw more cuts appear on Tenten, clearly due to Hinata's work. The poison is clawing her blood. I need to extract it before I move on, Hinata quickly replied with a look that said to stop distracting her. If she wasn't a shinobi, the poison alone would have finished her long ago. A very poisonous green liquid started pouring out of the newly made cuts. With her free hand, Hinata made a strange seal and the suction seemed to increase, making Tenten squirm under the pain. With a quick Juken strike to the base of her neck, she was paralyzed from the neck down. Sorry, Tenten, but I can't have you squirming and messing up my work, Hinata replied when Tenten seemed to try to glare at her. Don't worry, you'll pull through, Hinata replied, smiling at Tenten, who sighed in relief. Her Juken strike also disabled the nerve cluster, preventing any pain from going through. Once the poison was extracted, Hinata performed a quick healing jutsu across her whole body, closing any open wounds. Her hands started glowing white, instead of the traditional healing green. Her hands traveled from her head, along her neck and ribcage, down to her legs and ending on her feet. What are you doing? Lee asked, curious about the different glow than he usually saw when he was treated. I'm stimulating her bone marrow to vastly increase blood cell production. It's instantaneous, unlike the blood replenishing pill. I need her stabilized to heal her arm, Hinata explained, as Tenten's breathing seemed to slow, as her heart rate also slowed. Her blood level was dangerously low. A few more minutes and she would have been gone, Hinata explained, and Shikamaru sighed in relief. It doesn't matter anymore, Tenten whispered, but everyone heard her. What do you mean by that? Shikamaru asked. I lost my left arm. I'm a cripple, and a shinobi one at that, Tenten said with her eyes moist. Don't you dare, Shikamaru warned. We didn't drag you and nearly killed ourselves for you to simply give up. Besides, it's not the end of the world, Shikamaru said, trying to cheer the girl up. It is for me. I'm not a particularly strong shinobi. Everything I wanted was to become a jonin, and I'm not made for civilian life, Tenten almost yelled. Enough! Hinata yelled as she cut the discussion. Stop talking and pushing your body. Your heart rate is going up again, and I don't want to tax your body any more than it already is, Hinata warned, and Tenten reluctantly nodded but couldn't help but to let out a sob. I've been working on a medical technique that might heal you, Hinata smiled warmly. Really? Tenten asked with her hopes rekindled. Hinata nodded her head and Tenten smiled. Troublesome. All this fuss when you could have just said that earlier, Shikamaru said as he leaned against the wall nursing his ribcage. Please. A snore was heard and everyone's attention was shifted towards the owner. He had a wide frame with neck-length black hair and a bandana with his village's forehead protector. He wore the standard Iwagakure shinobi uniform, complete with a flak jacket and a shirt having no right sleeve. Even I know that medics can't heal what doesn't exist, the Iwata shinobi said. Out! Shikamaru said firmly when he noticed Tenten's mood drop again. A bunch of tree huggers getting killed in the forest is just too much for me to miss, the shinobi explained, licking his lips in anticipation. Before he could even blink, Shikamaru closes the distance between them and clocked him right between the eyes. The shinobi stumbled backwards, clutching his face. Bastard, he groaned as he built himself to his full height, trying to intimidate Shikamaru, who stood his ground. Enough, Taiseki. A new voice broke the incoming fight. This voice, although had a harsh tone, was clearly female. She had short, black hair and pupilless, black eyes that are accentuated by her eyelashes running upwards at the corner. Her garb was similar to that of her teammates. Fine, Kurosuchi Taicho. Taiseki spat at his team leader. He held a small grudge against Kurosuchi since she was the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage. Kurosuchi always had her way, and to make things worse, she was stronger than him. Shikamaru sat back down, but maintained his eyes on the newly arrived Iwa team. He's right, though, Kurosuchi said, gaining their attention and turning towards Hinata. Even you can't heal something that doesn't exist, Kurosuchi said with a feral grin. We shall see, Hinata mysteriously replied. I thought I didn't want trouble, Lee asked towards Kurosuchi, who shrugged her shoulders. It's hard not to hate any of you, and watching one of you being crippled for life is too amusing to pass up, Kurosuchi simply said, and was interrupted by a small yank of her vest. She turned around to look at her last teammate. What's up, Ren? Kurosuchi asked when she noticed a look of slight apprehension of her teammate. She had long, brown-colored hair, which she tied in such a fashion as to form a ball on top of her head, using what appears to be a knitting needle, while two large locks with darkened tips framed the remainder of her face. Her attire consisted of a short, sleeveless dress, further adorned by the presence of numerous bandages that encircled various portions of her body, including her waist and thighs. Maybe we shouldn't antagonize them, Ren said, looking wearily at Hinata, who was still busy with Tenten. What's wrong with you? Taiseki spat towards his other teammate. While she wasn't as strong as him, she was still able to hold her own. What could possibly have her stuttering like someone afraid of her own shadow? My, aren't she a charmer? Shikamaru muttered beneath his breath, but Taiseki heard anyways. No! Stop! Ren almost yelled as she tried to halt Taiseki's advances on Shikamaru. You are acting strangely, Kurosuchi turned to Ren, clearly waiting for an explanation. It's her, Ren said, pointing towards Hinata. Kurosuchi raised an eyebrow in confusion, but looked towards the Hyuga girl anyways. What about her? Kurosuchi asked. Her chakra levels are through the roof. They're way bigger than Tsuchikage-sama himself, Ren stuttered. Is that it? Kurosuchi asked in disbelief. Because having a high amount of chakra means nothing. Besides, Grandpa isn't getting any younger. Even I am almost at his level in chakra reserves, so what's the big deal? Kurosuchi asked, annoyed at her teammate's actions. It's not just her chakra reserves. I can't place it, but there's something about her that is strange. You could say that it's her presence. It's unnerving, Ren explained, and Kurosuchi just shrugged her shoulders. Are you dying anytime soon or not? Taiseki asked towards Tenten, who huffed in defiance. She was feeling much better. Whatever Hinata was doing was clearly working very well. Maybe you need a little help. Taiseki grinned as he stepped forward, and Shikamaru jumped to his feet. Taiseki remained unintimidated and continued walking forward until he felt a hand land on his shoulder and squeezed rather painfully. He hastily turned his head back only to look directly at two blue eyes, staring coldly at the Iwas shinobi, but what caught his attention was the leaf symbol on his forehead protector. You fuckers keep popping everywhere, Taiseki spat, as he wriggled out of Naruto's grasp and swiftly turned around, glaring down at Naruto. Now, Naruto began with a smile tugging the corner of his lips. Why do you have to be so rude? Naruto asked, amused by the shinobi in front of him. Taisuke was clearly taller than him and with a broader frame, but his attempts at intimidation were ridiculous. Look who it is, Taisuke spat. It's the spawn of the Yellow Flash. I heard you have quite the sum in the bingo book. Taisuke smirked until he remembered his details. He swiftly turned to the Hyuga girl on the ground and studied her features. Now I know why Ren had her panties in a twist. She's Hyuga Hinata, isn't she? Your beloved. Taisuke smirked and Naruto raised an eyebrow as Hinata let out a quiet chuckle. Testosterone spill in aisle 9, Hinata muttered quietly to herself. Cute, Taisuke replied towards Hinata's cheek remark. You will have plenty of time to collect our bounties during the tournament, Naruto said, but Taisuke didn't even reply. What is this I'm feeling? Ren thought to herself, her curiosity piqued. She looked towards the blonde-haired shinobi in front of her, and he seemed, for lack of a better word, strange. She wasn't getting any weird vibes from him, but she recognized him from the bingo book as an S-rank shinobi. It simply wasn't possible for a Kagero shinobi, or even any shinobi at all, to have no presence at all. It was like he didn't have any chakra at all. He felt like a civilian, and yet here he was, partaking in a joining exams and staying up to her team's muscle. He had no discernible aura around him. Not even a slight waste of chakra. Feeling the curiosity growing, she concentrated and decided to look deeper. She relaxed and extended her senses using her sensor ability that made her the tracker she was. She picked up a small tune. It seemed like static at first, but as she dug deeper, the static noise changed into a humming sound, slowly increasing in strength. Naruto noticed that someone was poking around and ever so slowly turned his head from Taisuke to gaze upon the intruder. He looked at her somewhat confused face, as if she was trying to solve a puzzle. More specifically, Naruto himself. So she's measuring me, Naruto hummed and thought as he watched her, interested in her reaction. There was a reason why he always had his chakra restrained to his best ability. Normal shinobi wouldn't pick him up, and neither would sensors unless they concentrated on their target. The reason why he always restrained his chakra was because, to some, it could be overwhelming. Aye! The standoff between Naruto and Taisuke immediately came to a stop, as both Taisuke and Kurosuchi turned to the source of the high-pitched scream. Ren was on the ground shivering, her eyes wide with horror, mouth rigid and open, the fist clenched with blanked knuckles, and the nails digging deeply into the palms of her hands. It was the kind of scream that made your blood run cold. Kurosuchi immediately rushed her teammate and kneeled beside her. What's wrong? Kurosuchi immediately asked, and noticed that Ren was staring at Naruto with glassy eyes, wanting to look away but unable to. What did you do to her? Taisuke shouted as he grabbed Naruto by his armor and brought him up to his eye level. She took a look at my chakra and that happened, Naruto simply said. My chakra can be overwhelming to some, and sensors usually take the full blunt of it, Naruto explained, but Taisuke only sneered. He's a monster, Ren managed to say, her words intermittent and her state bordering on shock. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered. Don't worry about her, Naruto replied as he slowly pushed Taisuke back, freeing himself from his grip. It was just a shock. She'll be fine in a couple of minutes, Naruto explained. I don't understand what is so special about you, Kurosuchi huffed. You're not a sensor, so unless they start releasing chakra, you won't know, Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders. After the whole ordeal with Ren and Naruto, things started calming down, although the tension was still palpable. I'm fixing your arm now, Tenten, Hinata said, and Tenten slowly nodded. She watched as Hinata removed the tourniquet and immediately gave a Juken strike to the arm, making every muscle contract and stem the blood flow far better than the cloth wrapping. Naruto kneeled next to Hinata. I can patch her up discreetly, Naruto whispered to Hinata, but she shook her head. Can't risk it, Hinata replied. I've been working on a new technique based on the seal that Tsunade Sensei developed, Hinata said, pointing to her forehead. Now this I want to see, Kurosuchi arrogantly stepped forward, not enough to be considered a threat, but enough to get a good view of what she would do. The clone in front of Hinata dispelled as the original Hinata gained several purple markings around her face. They radiated from the diamond-shaped seal on her forehead, escaping her eyes and down her cheeks. Ren let out a gasp when her aura seemed to skyrocket. Senpo, Sage Art, Hinata said as she opened her eyes with her Byakugan blazing. Shosoku Saisei no Jutsu, ultra fast regeneration technique, Hinata whispered as she placed her hand at the exact place of the wound. Her hand started glowing deep purple, somehow matching her markings on her face. Everyone held their breath in expectation of what was to come, but neither could anticipate what they would witness. The muscles slowly started easing their stiffness. The arm regained its natural color. The dead pieces of flesh simply fell to the floor, making Lee empty his stomach. Everyone watched in disbelief as a whitish substance started growing out of the remaining portion of the arm. It didn't fall to the floor, but instead it continued growing outwards, reaching around a foot in length. The white substance started changing form, taking the shape of cylinder with the edge being slightly bigger. Anyone even remotely aware of the human body and anatomy would recognize just exactly what the substance was. It was the humerus bone. Tenten gulped when she saw a new bone sticking out of the flesh of her arm. She felt nothing, not even a tingling sensation, but she guessed it was due to the fact that she didn't feel her body from the neck down, courtesy of one Senju Hinata. Since the bone had been regenerated, Hinata took another breath as the purple glow intensified, forcing Tenten to close her eyes due to the proximity. The flesh around the bone seemed to want to stretch, but in fact it was multiplying, and rapidly. Several tentacles of flesh burst and wrapped themselves around the bones. As the flesh grew around the bone, a light rosy layer started covering the red flesh, giving it the appearance of a fully functioning arm. Once the flesh had reached the arm joint, two new bones started growing at the same time, almost parallel to each other. They are the radius and ulna bones of the forearm. In the blink of an eye, the muscle covered the bones, being topped by skin. From the end of the forearm, several new bones grew and started manifesting 5 protuberances. They started extending, each one being covered individually by flesh, thus giving the appearance of a left hand. Everyone had their jaws on the ground as the process finished and the nails finished appearing on her fingers. Tenten noticed the purple glow lowering and opened her eyes. Her eyes nearly popped out of her skull when she noticed that her arm was just like new. She started looking from her new arm to Hinata rather fast. She opened her mouth to say something, but no sound came out. That took a lot more from me than I thought. Hinata gasped, taking a few deep breaths as the pearl markings faded away. She got up feeling lightheaded, stumbled, but she was quickly grabbed by Naruto. You alright? Naruto asked, concern in his tone. She had just pulled some serious technique. I am, Hinata replied, her breathing stabilized. Performing this jutsu on others is far more demanding than on me, Hinata explained and looked towards Tenten, who looked like she was sobbing in happiness. You are right, Hinata said, turning towards the Iwa team who had their jaws on the ground. I can't heal what doesn't exist, but it doesn't mean I can't regrow another one, Hinata replied cheekily. Whatever, Taisuke said and went off with his team quickly after him. Ready to try your new arm? Hinata asked, and Tenten quickly nodded. Hinata kneeled beside her and fixed her Juken strike. Tenten's body seemed to relax from the stiff state. Her new fingers started twitching as Tenten rose her arm into the air. Just like new, right? Hinata asked, and Tenten nodded. Hinata helped Tenten back to her feet and went to deal with Shikamaru and Lee. Wow, Tenten whispered, flexing her arm. She couldn't see any visual differences. It felt just like her old one. You used this technique like someone who already had practice, Naruto narrowed his eyes. I hope you aren't doing this if this jutsu has dangerous ramifications for you or the patient. Tsunade Sensei's technique does cost the user a few years of their lifespan. However, mine doesn't. By using Senjutsu, I can use that energy to regenerate just about anything, including vital organs without sacrificing life expectancy. I can pretty much heal anyone as long as they are still alive and stable enough, Hinata explained, and Naruto's mind went back to what he had read. Senjutsu? Naruto hummed to himself. Could that be the answer? No. If it was, then Orochimaru would have discovered it long ago. 1 week later, Root headquarters. Danzo was peacefully sipping on his tea, thinking how well his plans were going. If everything went as according to plan, then he would reach his goal within the next 3 weeks. He was broken from his thoughts when a swirling sound started manifesting itself in front of him. As the swirling stopped, a man with a flowing black cloak adorned with red clouds and an orange mask stood in front of Danzo. "You lied to me," Toby said rather softly. "I am pretty sure I don't know what you speak of," Danzo replied, opening his single visible eye. "Don't play games with me!" Toby shouted, slamming his hand on the metal table. The sound reverberated through Danzo's office. Danzo sighed and noticed a small slip of paper on his table. He carefully picked it up and opened it. Left bracket, Nara Shikamaru vs Taiseki. Match 2, Senju Naruto vs Ren. Match 3, Akira vs winner of Match 2. Right bracket, Match 4, Senju Hinata vs Kurosuchi. Match 5, Rock Lee vs Tenten. Match 6, Masuyo vs Sadao. They're alive? Danzo asked out loud when he noticed both Naruto and Hinata's name on the tournament grid. "You are more naive than I thought," Toby spat. "Sending an assassin against those two? Pathetic," Toby said, and Danzo narrowed his eyes at him. "You put a wrench in my plans even further. If I remember correctly, you asked me to deal with them since you weren't capable of it," Danzo replied in his neutral tone. "Besides, does it matter at this point? They played us both for fools," Danzo said. "What are you going to do now?" Toby asked. "I will continue as planned. I've come too far to simply withdraw," Danzo explained, getting up from his chair, his teacup falling to the ground. "I hope you know what you are doing," Toby warned. "Our plan maintains, correct?" Toby asked, and when Danzo nodded, he swirled away. "Damn it," Danzo thought as he called his 2 servants and went for an adjustment of plans. Where the hell is Sai? And that is the end of chapter 54. We will now move on to chapter 55, which is called Quarterfinals. So let's get right into the chapter right now. Chapter 55, Quarterfinals. "Welcome," the Raikage's deep and strong voice echoed through the arena. The arena, while much like the one in Konoha, was significantly bigger, almost a quarter-mile in length with towering walls surrounding it, and of course, plenty of sitting places for the crowd. "Welcome to the Jonin exams," Raikage continued, seeing that the noise had started dimming and everyone's attention was focused on him. The Jonin exams were one of the biggest events possible in any of the great shinobi villages. This was much bigger than the Chunin exams. The village hosting the Jonin exams received a large increase in their economics and politics. The Jonin exams was, after all, a very important event. Only the best and brightest of each village were sent to these exams. Each village sent their best men and women and displayed them to the world. Much like the Chunin exams, this one was a substitute for war. The main reason as to why these exams were so much bigger than their counterpart was for the spectacle. The competitors in the Chunin exams were only genin, mostly charging straight forward without any strategy, chucking kunais and shurikens wildly at their enemy, throwing wild punches and blind kicks until one finds their target. No, these exams were very different. Every competitor was a Chunin, strong and qualified enough to pass the first 2 stages. Of the dozens of competitors, only the cream of the crop were chosen, only the best of the best. Most of these Chunin had vast battle experience, and like the main point of this tournament, they had arrays of ninjutsu perfect for entertaining the crowd, particularly one filled with leaders and daimyos who might fund Kumagakure. "Today, you are all in for a special treat," the Raikage shouted with a twinkle in his eyes, making the audience slightly chuckle. "We have 2 teams from Konoha, one from Iwa, and another from our very own Kumo," the Raikage explained, and noticed that the crowd understood as he carried on. "They have proven themselves worthy of stepping into the arena, and without further ado, I present you the contestants of the Jonin exams, the Raikage shouted, and the crowd started clapping as every single participant entered the arena. A strong introduction. The Raikage nodded in acknowledgement to the voice to his right as he sat down. The man sitting at the Raikage's right was none other than our very own Eros Sanin, as a certain blonde teen called him. Behind Jirai stood both blue Toriyama and green Hashirama posing as bodyguards. It's a shame that the Hokage couldn't attend, the Raikage said, testing Lars for the reasons behind Tsunadi's absence. You know how it is. Being Hokage is a full-time job, where even sleep sometimes is evasive, Jirai explained, and the Raikage seemed to murmur something in agreement. Though you don't seem to miss the Tsuchikage, Jirai carefully threw out, interested in Raikage's opinion. I understand the Mizukage not being here since no Kiri team qualified, but we have one from Iwa, Jirai explained. He's gotten old, Raikage said offhandedly. It's time for him to pass the torch on to the next generation, but you know him as well as I do. He's a stubborn old man, Raikage said, and Jirai simply chuckled in agreement. It's starting. Look sharp, you fools! Every competitor in the arena turned their attention towards the arriving Kumo shinobi. The man had dark skin and a muscular build, as well as white hair and a goatee. On his right shoulder, he had a tattoo of the kanji for iron, and on his left cheek, he has a tattoo of a bull's horn. He wore oval-shaped sunglasses and a white-colored forehead protector. He also had his village's standard one strap over one shoulder flak jacket and a long red rope belt tied around his waist. The standard Kumo hand and shin guards, shinobi sandals, and a white scarf around his neck. B! Naruto exclaimed, surprised to see the last remaining Jinchuriki outside of Konoha. Long time no see, 9-0, B replied, lifting his right fist, and Naruto hastily fist bumped him. This chakra, Kyuki thought when he felt a small sample of Naruto's chakra seep into his host. Could he be? Kyuki wondered, taking a close look at the Ninetales host. So, are you the examiner? Naruto asked, and B nodded. Gather up and look sharp, everyone, B ordered, and the contestants lined up perfectly facing the crowd, who roared in applause. Welcome to the final stage of the Jonin exams, fools, B said, and A's eyebrow twitched in the Kage seat. The first match is Taiseki of Iwa against Nar Shikamaru of Konoha. The remaining contestants, please empty the arena and wait your turn, B said, and everyone vacated the arena, save for Taiseki and Shikamaru. Good luck, Shika, Naruto said, and Shikamaru nodded. Yeah! Kick his ass, Tenten yelled from the balcony. Please, Kurosuchi scoffed. We have done our research about you, Nar Shikamaru of the Nara clan. Medium ninjutsu skills, subpar taijutsu, and non-existing genjutsu. Taiseki will tear him apart, Kurosuchi explained. Perhaps, Naruto said half-heartedly. Kurosuchi raised an eyebrow in surprise at his reply before shifting her attention to the arena. She's right, you know, and I whispered loud enough for only Naruto to hear. Shika-kun doesn't stand much of a chance against a bulky ninjutsu user like Taiseki. Have a little faith, Naruto smirked, and had not raised an eyebrow in doubt but nodded nonetheless. Arena. Taiseki of Iwa versus Nar Shikamaru of Konoha, B said as both opponents stood facing each other a few meters away from each other. B walked up to them, staying halfway from both of them. Both contestants ready? B asked as he raised his arm. Yes, both Taiseki and Shikamaru replied, neither taking their eyes from their adversary. Bikit Doton, Ishi no Yari, Earth Release Stone Spear. Before B could even finish announcing the start of the match, Taiseki had decided that he had waited long enough. With a free, quick hand seals, he slammed his hands on the ground. The ground rumbled slightly as the earth was torn apart, and from the opening, several razor-sharp spears made of hearthstone were hurled towards Shikamaru. Shikamaru was momentarily stunned, not expecting Taiseki to start the match instantly. He stumbled backwards and jumped to the side to avoid the raised spears coming his way. He ducked beneath one spear and dropped to the ground, tumbling to his left to avoid the rest, but not before getting grazed on his right cheek. Shikamaru brought his hand to his face to clean a trail of blood from the small cut. Before he could even properly raise himself, Taiseki was already on top of him, with both hands clasped and raised in the air. Shikamaru quickly jumped backwards and watched as Taisuke missed him by a few inches, slamming his fist onto the ground. Shikamaru was still airborne when a piece of stone shot from the ground and hit him in his gut. Shikamaru coughed as he fell to the ground, but managed to regain his balance. Looks like Taisuke won't give me a chance to use my jutsu. What a drag, Shikamaru thought to himself as he continued to run away from Taisuke, who seemed relentless in his pursuit of the leaf Chunin. Shikamaru looked towards to see Taisuke slowly gain terrain, and he had to think of something quickly if he wanted to survive and possibly win against his opponent. Shikamaru took a couple of smoke bombs and immediately dropped them to the ground. Taisuke halted his progress as his vision was caught in pitch black smoke. He carefully looked around and instantly ducked just in time to see a few kunai zip past him. Doton Doyuheki, Earthwall, Taisuke said as he kneeled to the ground and raised a stone wall around him. It was the right choice since several kunai embedded themselves in the wall and promptly exploded, tearing the defensive wall apart, but inflicting no damage on Taisuke. Taisuke took a deep breath and slammed a single hand on the ground, sending vibrations through the terrain, enough to cover the whole arena floor. The vibrations spreading through the whole arena carried enough information to pinpoint Shikamaru's location in the midst of a smoke bomb that was already starting to dissipate. Without waiting any more time, Taisuke shot himself forward, rushing towards his adversary's position. Shikamaru's eyes widened when he saw Taisuke exiting the cloud of smoke, rushing at him like some enraged bull. Shikamaru kneeled on the ground and placed his hands together, forming a seal for his shot manipulation. His shadow had just started twitching whenever Taisuke's fist connected to the ground. Shikamaru was repelled backwards from the blast wave, but regained his footing quickly. None of that shadow stuff, Taisuke said, as he rushed Shikamaru once again, who braced himself for his opponent. Taisuke knew that he outclassed his opponent in taijutsu by far. Taisuke sent a straight punch, and Shikamaru quickly brought both his arms up together to block it. Smack! Shikamaru was blown backwards from the force of the punch and hit the arena wall, leaving a small indentation as he fell to the ground. Shikamaru coughed and tried to regain his breath, only to have a small shadow being cast over him. He quickly looked up to see Taisuke in the air and aiming his fist at him. Taisuke's arms shot forward and went straight towards Shikamaru's face. Bunshin? Clone? Taisuke's eyes widened when his fist went right through Shikamaru's form as it dissipated into nothingness. Taisuke's fist connected with the ground as he regained his balance from being tricked. The whole floor around Taisuke started glowing as several buried explosive tags started sizzling. Boom! Shikamaru emerged from the ground on the other side of the arena and watched as the cloud of dust slowly started settling down. Once the smoke was cleared enough, Taisuke's form was seen standing in the middle of the explosion, his arms crossed over his head. Shikamaru's eyes narrowed when he saw Taisuke's skin give a small shimmer of light, almost sparkling. Iwa no Yoroi, rock armor. Taisuke smirked as he flexed his muscles, not even a small scratch or blemish on his skin. With the crowd. Damn! Naruto muttered under his breath as he watched Shikamaru's match. Things weren't looking up for his fellow shinobi of the leaf. Told ya, Kurosuchi grinned as she cheered for her teammate. He'll come up with something, Naruto replied, not taking his eyes from the arena. Shikamaru's breathing was labored as his chakra reserves were going down fast. All the running around and setting up traps to slow down his opponents was finally catching up to him. Shikamaru crouched on the ground. Since he gained distance from his opponent, he once again tried to activate his jutsu to bind his opponent. Dotun, Doryu Joheki, Earth-style Rampart. Taisuke slammed his hands on the ground when he noticed Shikamaru's shadow blurring its way towards him. The ground between both shinobi erupted and broke apart. Chunks of rock stood from the surface, several holes were formed, everything to disrupt and make it difficult for Shikamaru's shadow to travel towards him. Misai Gakur no Jutsu, camouflage jutsu, Taisuke whispered as his form started to shimmer and he disappeared from view. With his scent and shadow gone, invisible to the naked eye, Taisuke started stalking Shikamaru like a hungry lion. That isn't good, Shikamaru thought to himself when he saw Taisuke make himself invisible and completely disappear from view. Shikamaru took a whiff of the air, but his opponent's scent was nowhere to be found. Shikamaru was concentrating on trying to find his opponent when he noticed a sudden shift in the air. He felt a very strong and very hard fist connecting with his jaw as Shikamaru was sent flying through the air until he hit the ground with a resounding thud. Shikamaru shakily got up and braced himself for the next hit. He knew that he only needed a small window to win the match. Without wasting much time, he took a scroll from his pouch and immediately spread it on the ground. He slammed his foot on the kanji, ran on it, and a fountain of water burst from it. Shikamaru concentrated chakra on the scroll as the water poured out of it, and in an instant, it had covered the whole arena floor. Shikamaru waited for the water to calm down and started watching the surface for any ripples. Blop. Shikamaru immediately threw himself to the right as Taisuke's fist connected with the ground. Taking opportunity on Taisuke's slip, Shikamaru brought his knee upwards and slammed into Taisuke. Shikamaru winced when he felt the hardness of Taisuke's rock armor, but that was sufficient to disrupt his invisibility and momentarily stun him. Shikamaru quickly jumped backwards and started flashing through hand seals. Taisuke quickly recovered from the blow and started searching for Shikamaru, but it was too late, as Shikamaru had finished his jutsu. Genjutsu, Shikamaru said, as Taisuke focused on him. Kokuganyo no Jutsu. Journey into Black Darkness. I'm really sorry if I butchered the pronunciation for a Japanese name for this jutsu. Taisuke's whole world started darkening until it was replaced by a black void. Deprived of all sight, Taisuke started panicking, and that gave Shikamaru enough time to complete his plan. Kageme no Jutsu. Shikamaru's shadow quickly shot from his position and in no time connected to Taisuke's still form, binding him to Shikamaru's moves. Concede, Shikamaru ordered as he disrupted his genjutsu and forced Taisuke to bring a kunai to his own neck. Taisuke struggled against his opponent, but Shikamaru managed to hold him in his place. Fine, I concede, Taisuke spat as the shadow hold loosened. Winner by surrender, Nar Shikamaru of Konoha, B said, and the crowd erupted in cheers, especially the Konoha section of the competitors. With the crowd. Yeah! Both Tenten and Rockly yelled loudly as Shikamaru made his way towards the stands and dropped down to his seat. Unbelievable, Kurosuchi muttered when he saw Taisuke getting defeated. I told you he would come up with something. He isn't one of Konoha's greatest minds for nothing, Naruto said, turning his head to look at Shikamaru, who seemed to be dozing off. You're all good, Shika-kun, Hinata said as she finished patching up Shikamaru. Although, you will be sore tomorrow. I intend on doing nothing tomorrow, Shikamaru replied as he dropped his head down and closed his eyes to sleep while he could. He had already figured out the winners of the next matches, so why bother watching? Senju, Naruto, and Ren, please come to the arena for the second match, B shouted from the arena floor, and both contestants nodded. Naruto got up on top of the metal railings and leaped downwards, laying gracefully in the middle of the arena with his armor rattling. He brought his right leg up and slammed his foot on the ground. The whole arena shook from the impact as the water from the previous match dissipated and the whole arena was flattened. Show off, Hinata shook her head when she heard the shocked breath from the crowd. And he says he doesn't like the attention, Hinata muttered as she leaned on the railings to watch the next match. With the Kages. Now this I want to see, Ace said as he leaned forward, diverting all attention to the ensuing match between Naruto and Ren. Really? Dry asked with surprise in his tone. Of course, A replied, never looking away from the arena. He was already very strong when we fought together 3 years ago. A reminisced that battle. Being a Kage, stamping papers was the closest thing to action you did all day. I wish to see how much he has grown. Then, I believe you'll be in for a show, Dry replied, as both grinned and they looked towards the arena. Second match of the tournament. Senju Naruto of Konoha against Ren of Iwa. Both contestants ready, B asked, and both Naruto and Ren nodded. Begin, B said, and jumped backwards. Ren immediately jumped backwards to gain some distance from her opponent and began staring back at him. Interesting, Naruto thought to himself as he watched Ren stand in front of him with a determined face. His Sharingan flared to life to further analyze his opponent.
What's so interesting about her? She's the one that almost fainted when she felt your chakra.
Kurama replied through his mind link. You forget that she most likely felt you as well. But look closely at her, Naruto said, and Kurama acknowledged him and looked intently at Ren.
I don't get it,
Kurama said, and Naruto shook his head. Her clothes seem brand new, and yet they have tears. Her eyes betray how tired she is. Her skin looks pale, her knuckles show fresh wounds, her legs and arms show cuts that she didn't have last time. Do you see my point now? Naruto asked, but Kurama remained oblivious. She may be the one who almost fainted from a chakra, and yet here she is. She worked hard all month long, it seems. I don't like to brag, but I do have a reputation. She seems nothing special, and yet she seems very determined to win, Naruto concluded. If there was one thing that Naruto valued, it was hard work and determination. Having made up his plan for the match, Naruto slowly bent his knees and leaned forward, taking both a defensive and offensive stance. He was going to take this from the beginning, wanting to know what Ren could do in battle. Naruto shot forward at moderate speed, slowly closing the distance between himself and Ren. Ren saw Naruto close the distance between them rather fast, and swiftly pulled a couple shuriken, hurling them towards the incoming threat with deadly accuracy. Ren watched as the shurikens closed in on her target, and just as they were about to make contact, Naruto's figure seemed to blur and disappear from view. Ren blinked as Naruto disappeared from her field of vision, and immediately her heart sped up from a mix of panic and adrenaline itself. Ren threw herself to the right, rolling on the ground as Naruto appeared behind her, with his right leg lifted and poised to strike. Seeing that he missed, Naruto regained his balance and shot towards Ren, who braced herself. No time for shuriken this time. Ren gulped and got up, taking a defensive stance with both arms in front, shielding her face and upper chest. Naruto's fist collided with both her arms, and she buckled from the power behind it, but held on. Naruto threw a right hook, and Ren brought her left arm to block his strike. Naruto caught her left arm and hoisted into the air. He spun around and flung her towards the arena walls. Ren twisted her body mid-air and prepared for impact. The wall made a sickening crunch as Ren's feet dug themselves into the stone from the power behind the throw. Ren dug herself into the wall in silent relief, knowing that she broke nothing. Ren launched herself from the wall and started going through hand seals while still mid-air. Her eyes caught Naruto still on the ground. She looked him in the eyes and noticed that his Sharingan was spinning rapidly. She finished her sequence as she landed on the ground and placed both hands on the floor. Doton, Dose, Kiryu, Earth Dragon, Ren said as rock and stone exploded from the ground and into the air. Like being pulled by some imaginary force, the rocks and stones merged together, taking the form of a long snake with a big snout. The stone dragon cooled before shooting forward towards Naruto. Ren lifted her head from the ground to see the progress and was shocked when she saw her Earth Dragon clashing with another one, exactly the same size and rock composition. His Sharingan. He copied my jutsu, Ren thought, remembering his spinning eyes as she performed the seals. Ren's eyes widened when Naruto unleashed a blast of fire that tore straight through both Earth Dragons and was coming towards her. Doton, Doryu Heki, Earth Wall, Ren said, raising a stone wall in front of her to shield her from the attack. The stone wall buckled and started cracking as the fireball impacted it, but managed to hold on. Ren was working through hand seals with the cover to smoke when she saw a small blue light in the midst of it. Rasengan! The voice came but a split second before a small blue spear appeared from the middle of the smoke and smashed against her shoulder, pinning her to the ground and making a crater from the impact. Naruto's eyes narrowed when Ren's form started turning brown and crumbling into the ground. Rock clone, Naruto thought as Ren's clone disappeared into fine dust. Naruto summoned when he felt his feet getting dragged down into the earth. Doton, Ryusa, quicksand. Ren changed the composition of the earth beneath Naruto's feet, trapping him into a quicksand trap. The more Naruto struggled, the more he sank until he was neck deep. Pretty good trap, Naruto thought as his form vanished with a yellow flash, teleporting to a Shiki seal he had left on her when they exchanged blows in the beginning of the match. Ren must have sensed him because she turned around swiftly, only to meet with a strong fist right to her jaw. Ren was sent flying and crashed to the ground. She groaned as she got up and dusted her clothes off. She nursed her jaw that was already showing signs of swelling. With the crowd. Figures he could use that blasted Hiroshi and Taisuke spat. He's toying with her. Kurosuchi grumbled when she noticed Ren fire attack after attack, only for Naruto to shrug them off or launch his own and overpower her. "You're wrong," Hinata said softly. "Enlighten me then," Kurosuchi huffed. "Naruto-kun is very strong," Hinata started, "and although he may deny it, he is proud of himself. He has yet to find someone to truly give him a challenge, and even I admit that I don't stand a chance against him." Hinata chuckled, and Kurosuchi raised an eyebrow at that. "Naruto-kun likes to fight. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Because he's so strong, there are very few battles he's ever taken seriously. When fighting a battle against weaker opponents, he tends to judge them before the battle. If he sees them as worth it, he gives them a chance to give it all they got, to stand their own against him. Otherwise, he just knocks them out," Hinata said. "That strikes me as arrogance at its finest," Kurosuchi simply said. "Perhaps," Hinata agreed, "but that is what he's doing right now. He must have felt something special about Ren to make him give her a chance," Hinata explained. "You're right. He could have knocked her out the first time they crossed fists, and yet he didn't. He's giving her a chance to show off. Besides, isn't that the whole point of this tournament? To show off enough skill to be promoted to Jonin?" Hinata rhetorically asked. "She's right, you know," Shikamaru stood with his eyes so closed. Kurosuchi didn't reply and just kept watching the match in silence. "Why?" Kurosuchi asked. "One of the mysteries that makes Naruto-kun special," Hinata said, giving a small smile. Arena. Ren was jumping through the arena, running and dodging small fireballs that Naruto kept shooting. She landed on the ground and felt Naruto's chakra spike. She merely jumped as far as she could from position just in time to avoid a massive fireball that he released. "Close call," Ren thought to herself, wiping the sweat from her forehead. Ren took a deep breath to relax when she noticed that Naruto seemed to stop and just stare at her with his red eyes. "That's it!" Ren thought with glee. "Why didn't I think of that? Iwa Bunshin no Jutsu! Rock clone!" Ren said as she spat multiple globs of dirt to the ground that took her form. "That should keep him busy while I work on it," Ren thought as she sent the clones to attack and distract Naruto long enough for her to start the plan. Just as Naruto dispatched the last clone, Ren had finished her plan. Her plan seemed to have taken the form of a small paper spear in her hand. At first, the side of paper ball looked similar to that of a smoke bomb, but it wasn't. Whatever it was, she hoped it would do the trick against her opponent. Ren took the initiative and dove forward, intending to meet Naruto head-on. Naruto smiled when he saw her approach and took a defensive stance. Naruto parried her punch and replied with a kick to her sternum that she simply sidestepped. Naruto used her shift and backhand Ren hard in the face. "Kawarimi no Jutsu! Substitution Jutsu!" Ren muttered beneath her breath, swapping her body and letting that small paper ball take the damage. "Flash bomb? Let's see then." Naruto chuckled and thought when he saw the paper ball appear in Ren's place. Just as his fist hit the paper spear, it lit ablaze, releasing a bright flash of light that illuminated the whole arena and temporarily blinded Naruto. "Yes!" Ren nearly shouted when she saw Naruto forcibly close his eyes and momentarily stumble. Naruto shook his head and brought his hands to his forehead, lowering his forehead protector to the front of his eyes. It was a solid plan from Ren's part, to save him the eyes of an Uchiha. Naruto stayed still for what seemed to be mere moments until Ren noticed several red markings on his cheeks and 2 concentric circles on his forehead. Ren gasped and took a step back when she felt his chakra spike. She gulped as she felt his aura. It radiated so much power that it seemed insane. "Focus, Ren." Ren snapped from her shock when she heard Naruto's voice. "The battle has just begun. Show me your worth," Naruto said, and Ren renewed her efforts. With the crowd. "Really?" Hinata thought in disbelief. "Senjutsu? I wonder what she has to make you push her to this level," Hinata thought, with her curiosity sparkling as she watched the battle. Arena. "Don't waver," Naruto said as he parried another strike and punched her back. "Push forward," Naruto stressed. Ren coughed as she crouched on the ground and took several deep breaths. Naruto allowed her to regain her breathing and motioned for her to come. Ren had a look of fierce determination as she got up and ran forward once again. Her chakra stores were wasted. Taijutsu and weaponry were her last resort. Her kunai clashed with metal sounds against Naruto's. Naruto saw Ren's breathing starting to get shallower and her heart rate slowing down. She's spent, Naruto fought, as he kicked her away and she somewhat but regained her balance. Ren sensed Naruto appearing behind her with his Hirashin and threw her elbow backwards. Naruto easily caught her elbow and placed a kunai at her throat, signaling the end of the match. I never stood a chance. Ren slid to the ground, taking deep breaths. Her chakra stores were depleted. She was tired, bruised, and defeated. True, Naruto replied honestly, but you did your best and there is no shame in it. Besides, you are a very good censor, better than me, and with enough practice, I think you will reach the same level as Senju Toyarama, the second Hokage, Naruto replied, and Ren's jaw dropped. Really? You think so? Ren asked hopefully. Nobody in her village had given her hope to her talents. She didn't have raw power, and her other skills besides sensing seemed nothing special. Sensors are severely underrated, Naruto started. Having the ability to sense chakra is very useful. Feeling what the enemy is doing, feeling the opponent molding chakra before the technique is actually used, knowing what the enemy will do beforehand is extremely important. Chakra sensing is similar to Sharingan in that regard, in reference to predictive abilities. During this battle you may not have noticed, but I saw you reacting before I did my jutsus, even if you didn't notice yourself. That just means you are a natural sensor, and that is very rare. So, trust me, evolve your gift until you can do it without concentrating, and train it until it becomes second nature. Believe in yourself, Naruto finished. Winner of the match, Senju Naruto, B said, and the crowd erupted in cheers. It had been a great match between shinobi of two very conflicting villages. Naruto approached her and extended his hand for her to take. Ren looked up to see Naruto offering his hand. His eyes had revolved back to the usual blue. She was spent, and he didn't even seem tired. Thanks, Ren muttered as she took her hand and stood up. Ren, of the Gu-Shiken clan, Ren said, shaking his hand. Naruto, of the Senju clan, Naruto replied, and the crowd cheered.
What was this all about?
Kurama asked, narrowing his eyes in Naruto's mind. I've caught a glimpse of what she could be, but I can only do so much, Naruto cryptically answered as he watched Ren being taken away by the medics. Besides, I'm finding peace one step at a time. With the crowd. That was kind of him, Kurosuchi said with confusion mixed with interest. Damn him, Kurosuchi muttered in thought. Now she was conflicted. She came to Kumo determined to give Leaf Shinobi a hard time since they are from the Leaf, and now this one gives Ren something she never had. Incentive. Hope. Naruto-kun is kind and stoic and strong. Yes! This is what youth is all about, Lee yelled with fire in his eyes. Yosh! I will strive and become as kind and strong as Naruto-kun! Lee shouted to the heavens, pumping his fist in the air while Tenten just shook her head at Lee's antics. Who do you think he is? Hinata asked with a raised eyebrow. Some unemotional weapon for the Leaf? And Lee-kun is right. I'll have you know that he is a very kind person, Hinata huffed. Taisuke huffed and crossed his arms. I guess, Kurosuchi replied, bringing her hand to her chin. Although the bingo book does portray him as rather ruthless and some kind of monster, and after what he did in Curie, I can't but doubt his kindness. He is ruthless, but only to enemies and those who bring harm to those he holds dear, just like anyone else really. Even someone of the purest of hearts feels anger when someone he loves is hurt or threatened. He did have a god complex, and just between you and me, Hinata started conspiratorially, whispering to Kurosuchi's ear, I think he still does have one, only toned down a lot. But sometimes it gets the better of him, and he starts rambling about how he's God Almighty, and how he'll bring swift retribution from above. Hinata chuckled. Really? I'd pay to see that, Kurosuchi laughed, thinking of Naruto preaching to his enemies. Then again, can you really blame him? Kurosuchi asked, and noticed the confused face on Hinata as she continued. I mean, Konoha no Raijin, Konoha's thunder god, and Shinobi no Kami, god of Shinobi? You do have a point, Hinata hummed. But usually, I'm there to cool his head, Hinata said. Which head? Kurosuchi smirked, and Hinata blushed red at her comment. Tenten and Lee's jaw dropped, and even Taisuke opened his eyes and blinked at her comment. Pervert, Hinata muttered. Hey guys, Naruto said as he arrived and noticed everyone looking at him with strange faces. What happened? Naruto asked when he noticed Hinata trying to hide her face in her hair. Nothing, Hinata replied very quickly. Right, Naruto drawled, but everything returned to normal quickly. Anyways, B gave me a break before my next match, even though I told him I didn't need one, Naruto said. Yes, Kurosuchi began with a normal face. I think your stamina does come in handy, Kurosuchi said, and Naruto looked at her very strangely, while Hinata just wanted to hide in a corner. Unbelievable, Taisuke said, shaking his head. Fraternizing with tree huggers? Give it a rest, Taisuke, Kurosuchi replied harshly, and Taisuke simply huffed and closed his eyes again, ignoring the rest of the chatter around him. We will now begin our next match. Everyone heard B's voice from the arena. Akira and Naruto come to the arena. Well then, see you in a couple of minutes. Naruto pecked Hinata's cheek and went down to the arena. They say shy girls are the wildest, Kurosuchi whispered, trying to hide her smile. Hinata just groaned and turned to the arena. She was already missing the times Kurosuchi ignored her. Arena. Akira of Kusa against Senju Naruto of Konoha, B said as both shinobi stood in front of each other. Both ready, B asked, and got nods from both Akira and Naruto. Naruto blinked when he saw Akira licking her lips and winking at him. Okay, Naruto thought in confusion.
She wants the tea,
Kurama said with his eyes bulging out. The what? Naruto asked, but was broken from his chat by B. Begin! Just as the match began, and before Naruto could even do anything, Akira started untying her cloak and simply let it slide down to the ground. What the hell? Naruto blurted out. Naruto was gawking openly at his opponent who had a smirk on her face. Akira was a young woman around 20 years old with charcoal black eyes and long flaming red hair tied in a single ponytail with twin bangs framing her face. Although it wasn't her hair and eyes that caught Naruto's attention, but rather her uniform. Or lack thereof. She was wearing nothing more than bandages around her chest that, from the bulge it had, meant she was very well endowed. The only other item of her uniform was a rather short, even for its name, red with yellow flames jean shorts, so tight that they left nothing to the imagination. With the crowd. Oh my! Kurosuchi laughed when she saw Akira strip herself out of almost all clothing. That's a peculiar tactic, Hinata muttered, but continued watching the match. Arena. Best Jonin exams ever! Jiraiya shouted from the Kage box, making Naruto's sweat drop. Naruto turned his attention towards B, who was looking intently at Akira with a small trail of blood dripping from his nose. Oi! Naruto smacked B's head, snapping it from his dreams. Aren't you supposed to be watching a match? Naruto asked. My, Akira began with a small smile tugging her lips. Aren't you handsome? Akira said, licking her lips and crossed her arms across her chest, lifting her breasts higher. Having gone over his initial shock, Naruto just blankly stared at her. Seduction won't get you very far, Naruto said. Why not? Akira pouted, biting her lower lip. I'm married to someone I love very much. You will have to try a lot harder if you want to win this match, Naruto said blankly, crossing his arms around his chest armor. Oh well, Akira sighed before smirking again. I guess I'll have to try a little harder. Akira smirked, and Naruto prepared himself when he felt her molten chakra, possibly to some technique. Kobito no Kisu, lover's kiss, Akira muttered, placed her hand on her lips and blowing a kiss towards Naruto. Naruto just stared blankly at Akira as she sent him a kiss. What a strange opponent. I'm half tempted to knock her out and be done with this, Naruto thought to himself, as he waited for something to happen. Suddenly Naruto felt himself starting to heat up. What the hell? Naruto says his heart rate started going up and he himself felt drawn to her. Naruto gulped and started breathing hard as his blood started going places it shouldn't be during a battle. Kai! Naruto muttered, flaring his chakra slightly. It's not a genjutsu, silly, Ikra smiled sweetly. Now, why don't you surrender and we will go have some fun, Ikra said in a soft voice. It sounded almost like a whisper. Kurama, what the hell is happening? Naruto asked his partner. He felt so compelled to do as she said and wanted nothing more than to jump her right now.
Oh, this is golden. She's got you by the leash already.
Kurama laughed, rolling in his cage. Kurama! Naruto growled, but Kurama didn't seem to bother.
It's very simple, Brett. It's just...
With the crowd. Pheromones, Hinata said when she noticed Naruto struggle with himself. And lots of them. How can you tell, Kurosuchi asked. I'm a medic. We have been trained to identify chemicals and other products by their smell alone. To everyone else, and depending on the pheromone itself, it can smell good, horrendous, or nothing at all, Hinata explained. Since Naruto-kun is in that state, it's obvious she picked the right one against him. You seem to be taking this very well considering Naruto is almost drooling over her, Tenten pointing towards Ikra in the arena. It's a natural reaction from the human body when exposed to pheromones, Hinata shrugged her shoulders. Besides, I can do the same thing she's doing without pheromones, Hinata grinned. Arena.
It's very simple, Brett. It's just pheromones.
Kurama said, wiping the tears from his eyes. Oh, Naruto replied stupidly. I'm an idiot for not thinking of that, Naruto shook his head.
No argument there,
Kurama said, but Naruto decided to ignore his comment. Naruto took a deep breath to calm himself and disable his sense of smell, effectively nullifying the chemical. His breathing returned to normal as his heart rate slowed down. Naruto opened his eyes and noticed that Akira was wiggling her finger in a come-to-me motion. Naruto faked still being under the pheromones effects and simply put on a goofy smile on his face and started walking towards Akira, one step at a time. Akira smiled as Naruto arrived in front of her and closed her eyes, leaning forward to kiss him until she felt something cold on her neck. She opened her eyes in confusion until she saw a kunai point right at her throat. It was a good plan. My Sharingan can only see chakra normally, and since I wasn't looking for airborne chemicals, I missed them, Naruto smirked. And it would most likely have worked if not for my partner. Partner? Akira asked in shock. She had never lost against any male, and even managed to get females to drool themselves into unconsciousness. QB explained your little plan, and I simply stopped smelling, Naruto said, and Akira's eyes widened until she dropped her head. My pheromone release failed, Akira hung her head. That sucks. Let me go! Try yelled from the Kage box, struggling against both blue Toriyama and green Hashirama who were holding him from jumping the arena. She is in danger! Hang on, my love! I shall come for you! Try yelled from the balcony, making everyone's sweat drop at the pervert's antics. Maybe you should tone your ability down now that you lost. My godfather's already crazy as it is, Naruto said, shaking his head in disbelief. Where's Tsunade to make him behave? I guess, Akira muttered. She stopped producing pheromones and dry blinked before coughing to hide his embarrassment. The Raikage was simply holding his stomach in laughter at Jiraiya's actions. Truly the greatest pervert of the elemental nations, Age choked out. Winner, Senju Naruto of Konoha, B said, with the crowd. Hey again. Naruto was cut off with Hinata jumping him and smashing her lips against his with a fiery kiss that ended sooner than she wished. What was that for? Naruto asked. Just because, Hinata said with her arms around his neck. So it's not because of the match I just had, Naruto said chuckling. Nope, Hinata replied innocently. Were you jelly? Naruto asked with a teasing tone, making Hinata quickly shake her head in denial. Oh, you were, Naruto teased. Say it, Naruto ordered playfully. No! Hinata stood ground, barely restraining a smile. Naruto's hands quickly went to her stomach and he began tickling her. Stop it! Hinata giggled as she tried her best to stop Naruto. Say it, Naruto said. No! Hinata replied with tears swelling up in the corner of her eyes. Get a room, Tenten coughed, breaking the couple from their actions. Hinata smiled and winked at Naruto before turning to face Tenten. You are welcome to join in, Hinata said, and Tenten swore before going so red she nearly fainted. Hinata! Tenten shouted from embarrassment. You're lucky. How come Neji doesn't do sweet stuff like that? Tenten whined. Naruto hummed and turned towards Tenten. Did you remove his appendice? Naruto asked. Appendice? Let me rephrase that, Naruto began with a grin. Did you remove the stick up his ass? Naruto asked, and Tenten's jaw dropped. Naruto-kun, Hinata chided, but Naruto just laughed. You know how Neji Nisan was raised. He will never do stuff like this. At least, not in public, Hinata explained. Tenten replied, but was interrupted. Kurosuchi and Hinata to the arena, please, B called from the arena. Let's give them a good match, Hinata said, and Kurosuchi nodded. I intend to. Kurosuchi smirked as both walked to the arena for their battle. Arena. Kurosuchi of Iwa against Senju Hinata of Konoha, B said, as both contestants arrived at the arena and faced each other. Ready, B asked and got nods from both. Begin. The moment B started the match, Hinata blasted forward towards Kurosuchi, wasting no time to engage her opponent. Kurosuchi started running away, knowing very well the golden rule against fighting her opponent. No matter how unskilled the opponent may seem, never engage in taijutsu against a Hyuga. Kurosuchi remembered the words of her sensei. Yotan, Seigagakyo no Jutsu. Law release quick line jutsu, Kurosuchi said, and again I apologize if I butchered that name, expelling multiple globs of quick lime against the approaching enemy. Suiton, Tipo Dama, water bullet. Hinata fired multiple water bullets from her mouth, one bullet for each globe of quicklime that Kurosuchi had thrown. The water collided with the quicklime and quickly hardened it, making it worthless. Nothing more than simple flying chunks of rock. Hinata dodged the hardened quicklime and jumped into the air, meeting with Kurosuchi with a raised leg. Suten Gyaku, heavenly foot of pain. Hinata performed a falling axe kick. Kurosuchi sidestepped and jumped away as Hinata's foot crashed into the ground, making the whole arena shake from the impact and leaving a crater behind. Holy cow! Kurosuchi's eyes popped out of her skull. The blast alone would have killed me, Kurosuchi muttered in shock, as she saw the dust clear and Hinata stood in the middle of the crater, cracking her knuckles. Hinata dashed forward, and Kurosuchi did the only thing that came to mind when she noticed the crater. She ran, for her life and bones. Alright, come on Kurosuchi, think. Kurosuchi racked her brain for some type of strategy against the incoming Hyuga girl. Kurosuchi knew that she couldn't engage in taijutsu against the Hyuga. Their taijutsu was deadly enough, but now factoring in that monstrous strength, and she had a ridiculous opponent to defeat. It would only be a matter of time before she was tired and Hinata would catch up to her. Any sneak attack won't work as well. She will see me coming from a mile away with those blasted eyes, Kurosuchi frowned as nothing came to mind, and here she was thinking she had done proper research on her opponent. Doton, Doryusu, Earth Spears. Kurosuchi placed both hands on the ground. Several spikes protruded from the earth and shot forward, intending to skewer Hinata. Kurosuchi muttered some profanities beneath her breath as she watched Hinata dodge the spikes with grace. No stumbling, no faltering, and no lost momentum. She seemed like a juggernaut at this point. Kurosuchi performed another Earth Jutsu and watched as an Earth Dragon rose behind Hinata and charged against her. As the Earth Dragon reached Hinata, she recoiled her right fist and slammed it head-on against the Stone Dragon. With a deafening bang that echoed through the walls, Hinata's fist drilled through the dragon as it was all but disintegrated in a matter of seconds. Without wasting a step, Hinata's form seemed to blur, as she appeared right in front of his son Kurosuchi, who braced herself. Kurosuchi was immediately on the defensive, dodging most of the attacks since blocking was a dangerous game against the Hyuga. Suiton, Mizurapa, Wild Water Wave, Kurosuchi fought, launching a wave of water from her mouth and aiming straight at Hinata's eyes, in an attempt to momentarily stun her and take hold of the match. Kurosuchi was shocked when Hinata closed her eyelids before she had even opened her mouth. The water splashed harmlessly in Hinata's face, and she continued her relentless assault with her eyes closed. Her Byakugan allowed her to see everything around her, even with her eyelids closed. With a fast chest thrust, Kurosuchi was flung back and tumbled through the ground. What the hell? Kurosuchi stormed out loud as she shakily got up and took deep breaths, pushing the scene feeling away. I can see chakra with my eyes. I saw you molding a water technique before you even opened your mouth to use it, Hinata explained, and Kurosuchi grumbled and began running for hand seals. Predict this! Kurosuchi shouted as she finished with her sequence and took a deep breath. Yotan, Yokai no Jutsu, melting. Kurosuchi released a large amount of lava from her mouth that spread into a broad, thin sheet as it traveled through the air. She arced her technique upwards, making it come down from above against Hinata, and thus making it impossible for Hinata to jump away. Hinata watched the lava blanket block the sun from view, with her being beneath it. Kaiten. Hinata started spinning as a blue dome of chakra appeared around her form. The lava simply dropped down on the blue dome of chakra and started sliding down the sides onto the ground. Kurosuchi's eyes widened and she was forced to take evasive actions as her own technique was used against her. Due to Hinata's rotating defense, the lava was being repelled all over the arena, across all directions. Kurosuchi jumped backwards, keeping away from the range. Hinata stopped spinning as Kurosuchi noticed that she was completely unharmed. A perfect circle formed in the lava with Hinata being in the center of it, without a single scratch or burn mark. Hake Kusho, Air Palm. Kurosuchi bent down as a blast of air grazed her hair. She looked backwards and saw the blast of air hit the arena walls, chunking it heavily. She didn't have much time to ponder on the power of the air palm as Hinata reached her. Hinata threw a left hook and Kurosuchi quickly brought her left arm to block it. Kurosuchi gripped Hinata's attacking arm by the wrist and twisted it, trapping it tight beneath her armpit in an arm lock. Kurosuchi's other fist started gaining red hue as she powered it up with fire chakra, getting ready to strike. What the hell? Kurosuchi blinked as Hinata's trapped arm seemed to turn into a bluish, somewhat translucent color. Hinata's arm simply slid off of her arm lock like it was made of rubber. Kurosuchi's eyes widened when Hinata's arm seemed to blur, and before she could do anything, she was already in mid-air with several stinging sensations through her arms and chest. Kurosuchi landed on the ground with most of her chakra points blocked. She didn't get to think much of what happened as unconsciousness took hold of her. Winner, Senju Hinata of Konoha, B said, and the crowd cheered once again. Konoha was already free for free. With the crowd. Yosh! Lee yelled, pumping his fist into the air. I'm getting all pumped up. Smack. Stop it, Tenten shot back, smacking Lee on the head. You keep yelling, I'm knocking you out before we have our match, Tenten warned, and Lee got a terrorized face before cowering under Tenten's wrath. So that's her new technique. Naruto thought about Hinata's arm turning blue and joy-like. It almost seemed like a thicker version of water, some type of substance. He caught only a glimpse with his Sharingan and couldn't study much of it. I wonder if she can change the density, Naruto wondered, but was broken from his musings when Hinata arrived. Nicely done, Naruto congratulated her, and Hinata just nodded until she was distracted by the yelling pair of Tenten and Lee. Tenten-chan, Lee began, you must see the flames of youth! Yosh! Lee, rock Lee and Tenten to the arena, please, be called. Yosh! Just go! Tenten grumbled and watched as Lee nodded vigorously and jumped off from the stands. Tenten turned towards Naruto and Hinata. I just wish I had a normal team, Tenten said with a sigh as she made her way to the arena. Alright, Naruto started, gathering the attention of his fellow contestants. 1,000 Rio that Lee wins this match, Naruto said, and everyone's sweat dropped. 1,000 Rio that Tenten wins, Hinata countered, with her eyes sparkling mischievously. You seem confident, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes. Perhaps, Hinata said. There's nothing against helping other contestants, Hinata said, and Naruto's eyes widened as she dangled a vial of poison from her hand. She threw it at Naruto, and his eyes bulged out when he noticed the flask was empty. Run, Lee! Run! Arena. Rock Lee of Konoha against Tenten of Konoha. Both contestants ready, BS, and both Tenten and Lee nodded. Begin. Yosh! Social Ryu. Twin Rising Dragons. Rock Lee was in the middle of a celebration when Tenten jumped in the air with 2 scrolls twirling alongside her. Kunai, shuriken, senbon, sickle, almost every sort of weapon one could think of that had sharp edges began raining down on him. Lee was broken from his thoughts and began evasive maneuvers. Lee jumped backwards to avoid several kunai embedding themselves on the ground. Lee smashed his foot on the ground and making several pieces of rock jump into the air. With a remarkable feat of dexterity, he managed to kick all the stones, sending them flying straight towards the still airborne Tenten. Tenten saw the incoming stones and immediately intercepted them with weapons, either destroying them to dust or simply diverting them from hitting her. Her attention turned from the stones and towards Lee, who seemed to be gone, his stone attack successfully distracting Tenten. Tenten noticed a shadow being cast above her and tilted her head backwards to see Lee arriving at her height. With a flick of her wrist, she sent a single kunai flying towards Lee, who didn't expect it. Not good enough, Tenten frowned and thought when she noticed her kunai slashed through his arm, tearing the green jumpsuit but not enough to graze his skin. Tenten dropped her technique and fell to the ground and started running through the arena with Lee after her. Konoha Senpu! Leaf Whirlwind! Lee launched a flurry of low and high kicks that had Tenten on the ropes. Tenten sidestepped a straight kick and jumped backwards as Lee performed a rather roundhouse kick. Lee regained his footing and jumped forward once again. Tenten slapped both hands together as if clapping and started spraying them apart, showing a small metal glint between her palms. Lee ignored her actions and continued forward. He sent a straight kick and Tenten sidestepped it and wrapped her arms around his outstretched leg. Tenten took out a kunai and slammed it on the ground, driving so deep it nearly buried the hilt. What? Lee asked, bewildered, when he stumbled to the ground and noticed his right leg hadn't moved. Around his leg were several wire strings, wrapped around his leg and a kunai buried on the ground. He didn't dwell much on this as Tenten began unleashing another rain of weapons, this time against a stationary target. Even a taijutsu master like Lee couldn't move every single part of his body when his leg was trapped to the ground. Lee swiftly caught a kunai midair and started using it to deflect the incoming projectiles. Clang! Thump! Clang! Clang! Weapons clashed and fell to the ground, with small thump sounds. Lee raised an eyebrow when Tenten's wheeled weapons came to a halt. He was surprised to see her taking deep breaths, but had a small smile on her lips. That was when he felt it. Lee looked towards his right shoulder and noticed a small gash on his green suit. This one deep enough to graze his skin. All my weapons had poison. It's only a matter of time now, Tenten said, and watched as Lee frowned, but suddenly his mood changed completely. I'm sorry, Guy-sensei, but I cannot lose here, Lee whispered as he began unwrapping the bandages around his arms. Tenten gulped and braced herself, knowing very well what was coming next. Kaimon, Kyumon, Seimon, Shomon, Tomon, Kai! Lee yelled as his body exploded with power, breaking through the ninja wire and ripping the ground apart. With the crowd. That was a very bad move, Naruto frowned when he noticed Lee open the gates. How come? Ren asked from her seat. It seemed she had returned from the medics and chose to watch the remaining matches. Tenten-chan managed to hit him with one of her poison weapons. It only grazed him, so it would take a few minutes to knock him out. Opening the gate sends your body into overdrive. The poison will spread much faster this way. I doubt he can even finish his attack, Hina explained. How come? Ren asked. My poisons are the good stuff. Arena. The wind was rustling and Tenten had to shield her face from the scorching heat. Lee's body had veins bulging out everywhere. His skin was blood red and even his pupils seemed to become a hollowed white. Suddenly Lee coughed and kneeled on the ground. I cannot lose here, Lee struggled to say and shot forward. His fists had an orange aura around them. Tenten took out a simple-looking scroll and spread it on the ground. Without wasting any time, she challenged chakra through her hand and slammed it into the scroll. Summoning Iron Protection Wall. Tenten summoned a large, segmented iron dome around her, much like the shell of an armadillo. Asa Kujaku, Morning Peacock! Lee shouted as he arrived near the iron walls and unleashed the full might of his attack. Countless punches, so fast they set the air around his fists ablaze by sheer speed and friction. Tenten's defense managed to hold on until Lee upped his attack and the iron armadillo started buckling under the pressure. Lee coiled his fist and slammed as hard and as fast as he could. The ground caved as the iron walls exploded outwards. Boom! The arena was covered in a layer of dust and everyone held their breath in anticipation. As the clouds of dust started disappearing, the first to be spotted was Rock Lee, who was on the ground, face down, unconscious. His clothes ripped apart and his hands and wrists showed burn marks. B was about to say that Tenten had won the match until he spotted her. She was in the same state as her teammate, clothes in bad shape, and burn marks spread through her whole body. She was sprawled on the ground, completely unmoving. Since both participants are unable to proceed, I declare this match a draw, B said, as the crowd cheered as both Lee and Tenten were carried away by the medics. With the crowd. Naruto hummed and thought. How does that leave our bets? Naruto asked, turning towards Hinata, who shrugged her shoulders. You know that she would have lost if it weren't for your poisons or luck in grazing him, right? Naruto asked. Perhaps, Hinata simply replied, but luck is part of the battle. Masuyo and Sadao, to the arena please, B called, and both Kusa Shinobi made their way down. How long will they be out? Naruto asked. I don't know about Tenten, but the poison I gave her should have Lee down for at least a couple of hours, Hinata explained, and Naruto nodded. Since both participants are unable to proceed, I declare this match a draw, B said from the arena, and Naruto swiftly turned to him. Already? Naruto asked, shocked, as he watched both Kusa Shinobi being carried away on the stretchers. They used a jutsu apiece, and neither one managed to dodge the other, so they knocked each other out, Hinata explained. It's quite my luck. Since the last two matches were draws, I'm already in the finals. Hinata grinned. Lucky girl, Naruto muttered. I still have the lazy ass to fight. I know, Shikamaru replied. What a drag. And that is the end of this chapter and this fanfic read video. I hope you guys enjoyed Legacy chapters 53 through 55. This fanfic has always been really good, and again, I hope you guys enjoyed these chapters of the Joining Exams arc. Again, I am going to finish this year, and I'm going to move on to something else, because I cannot keep doing this. I need to move on to something else. Even though I love this fanfic. I've been working this for way too long. Anyways, I hope you guys, again, enjoy the content. It's going to be coming pretty soon as well. Shouts went to our patrons, and my Twitter and our patrons gave to all Night Slasher. If you want to watch those shouts like these, or the ability to see my scripts early for videos, or my actual videos early, you can go to my Patreon, which is linked in the description. Shout out my social medias are on screen, and that's what it for this video. This has been your boy, the MSA Sound. Peace for Ha. Cue that outro.